Chapter 1028. Hun Sen's body suddenly trembled and he quickly pointed to the left and said in horror, "Jiang Shuisheng, do you feel it? It's like a huge danger is coming our way. It should be a demonic beast, and a very powerful one at that." Jiang Shuisheng nodded with a solemn expression. "Yeah, I can feel it too. Damn it, the smell of blood in the valley must have attracted the demonic beasts. Let's hide quickly." Understood. 2 minutes later. Two people were hiding in a hidden corner of a mountain peak with pale faces. Their guess just now was wrong. The sense of crisis they felt was not brought by a very powerful fierce beast, but by hundreds of magical beasts whizzing over. At least 400 demonic beasts. Hun Sen's mouth twitched a few times and he couldn't help but mutter to himself. Jiang Shuisheng took out a pair of binoculars he got from Duanmu Lin and quickly looked into the valley. A look of disbelief was immediately cast on his face when he saw the situation inside. There were no demonic beasts or humans in the valley, nor was there any battle. But the ground was covered with blood and the surroundings were in a mess. It was obvious that a fierce battle had taken place there not long ago. There's no mistake about it. Someone fought with the demonic beasts. Damn! Could it be Tan Xiu and his men? Did that brat die in the mouths of the demonic beasts and become their food? Jiang Shuisheng cursed. Although he didn't like Tan Xiu, they were now facing a common enemy, so he didn't have any hostility toward Tan Xiu. Naturally, he didn't want Tan Xiu to die in the mouths of the demonic beasts. Hun Sen also took out his binoculars and could clearly see the situation in the valley. A wry smile appeared on the square-shaped face and he helplessly said, "What else is there to guess? That surnamed Tang and his men must have been killed since they were besieged by the demonic beasts. Alas, young and frivolous. They really don't know the meaning of death." Jiang Shuisheng was silent for a moment and then said, "We can't stay here for long, Hun Senator. The demonic beasts will easily find us if they're searching in the surroundings. Let's get out of here and go back to report the situation to Duanmu Lin. Tell him that Tan Xiu is dead." Having made up their minds, the duo no longer hesitated and quickly rushed toward the periphery of the Himalayas. On the outskirts of the Himalayas. When Tan Xiu came out with dozens of sect disciples, more than a dozen cultivators immediately came to greet them. Duanmu Lin took the lead, but when he saw the appearance of the people around Tan Xiu, he could not help but gasp. Just by looking at the injuries on their bodies, he could tell that the disciples of Tan Xiu's sect had been through an intense battle. "Tan Xiu, are you okay?" Duanmu Lin's eyes were filled with respect as he asked with concern. "It's nothing serious." Tan Xiu shook his head and said with a smile, "Some of them are just seriously injured, but they'll recover very quickly as long as they take good care of their injuries." "Senior Duanmu, is the blockade here safe?" Duanmu Lin smiled bitterly and said, "It's safe for now, but I don't know what will happen next. The members of our investigation department risked their lives to place the monitors inside. The monitoring screen shows that a large number of demonic beasts are gathering there. It's been a long time and there are at least 2,000 to 3,000 demonic beasts there, but they haven't attacked the outside yet. What I'm worried about now is that we won't be able to defend if more demonic beasts gather there and attack at the same time." 2,000 to 3,000. And they're still gathering? Tan Xiu's expression turned particularly solemn and he asked in a deep voice, "Is there such a gathering every time a demonic beast tide appears?" "That's right. It's like this every time." Duanmu Lin nodded and said, "As long as the number exceeds 1,000, there will be a short gathering. However, the gathering time this time is a bit long and the number is a bit too much. The only thing we can do now is to use airplanes and cannons to bombard the area once the number of demonic beasts exceeds 1,000. Tan Xiu's heart slowly sank. Even if the airplanes and cannons were to be used to bombard the area, there was no way to eliminate all of them. Besides, it was very likely that more demonic beasts would flock to them if they were thoroughly enraged. Most importantly, the corpses of the demonic beasts would be destroyed if the airplanes and cannons were used to bombard them, and he wouldn't be able to use the demonic beasts to train the Tang sect's disciples. "Senior Duanmu, don't be in a hurry to bombard them with airplanes and cannons. I need the precise coordinates of where the demonic beasts are gathering, and then I'll go there to investigate the situation. I'm well aware of how powerful the demonic beast tide is. If we can't make them stop attacking in advance, even the airplanes and cannons won't be able to play much of a role. If a large number of demonic beasts rush outside, it will cause great damage, said Tan Xiu with a solemn expression. Duan Mulin forced a smile and said, I'm also aware of this situation. Duan Mulin forced a smile. It's just that, alas, there's nothing we can do to disperse them. I don't know how to make them stop gathering and give up attacking our blockade line. Leave it to me. You're in charge of monitoring it, said Tan Xiu in a deep voice. What are you going to do? Asked Duan Mulin quickly. I haven't paid attention to it yet. Let's wait until we get inside, answered Tan Xiu. After saying that, he turned to look at the Tang sect's disciples and ordered in a deep voice, Shui Sha, take them back to the camp to rest. Hurry up and distribute the healing pills to them so that they can recover their strength as soon as possible. Gu Yin, you're a golden core stage expert, and protect them. Shui Sha and Gu Yin nodded at the same time. Tan Xiu looked at Duanmu Lin again and said, Senior Duanmu, we'll communicate with each other at any time. I'll go inside and check the situation first. Do remember to tell Aquababe to send me the precise coordinates of where the demonic beasts are gathering. Having said that, his figure was as fast as lightning and disappeared into the distant mountain peak in just a few breaths. At Duanmu Lin's side, more than a dozen cultivators stared at the spot where Tang Xiu disappeared with a dumbfounded expression. One of them, a burly middle-aged man, said with an incredulous expression, his speed is so fast. Even an expert at the foundation establishment stage can't be that fast, no? Is he a golden core stage expert? Duanmu Lin shook his head. His eyes then fell on Gu Yin and asked with a strange expression, what did Tan Xiu just say? He said that you're a golden core stage expert. That's right. I'm at the mid-stage of golden core. Gu Yin nodded. Duanmu Lin's eyes widened. Like the others around him, he looked incredulous and said, how is this possible? You're so young. Even if you started cultivating since you were born, it's impossible for you to cultivate to this level, no? Golden core stage. This. Director Duanmu, there's a kind of ability in this world that's called gifted talent, said Shui Sha. Gu Yin is the disciple of our sect master, so her cultivation talent is naturally extraordinary. We're all injured, so we can't talk with you anymore. We'll fight side by side with you and everyone else after we've recovered. Having said that, he didn't give Duanmu Lin any more time to speak and led the Tang sect's disciples to the camp outside. They quickly disappeared from the sight of Duanmu Lin and more than a dozen cultivators. The burly middle-aged man looked at the direction they left and shook his head. I can believe that Tan Xiu has cultivated to the golden core stage. But for a 10-year-old girl to cultivate to the golden core stage is simply a joke. I've been cultivating for more than 40 years, yet I'm only at the mid-stage of foundation establishment. It's extremely difficult for me to break through to the late stage of foundation establishment. Another cultivator nodded and said, this old man has been cultivating for more than 140 years and has taken a lot of heavenly treasures, yet I've barely broken through to the golden core stage. I haven't even stabilized my realm yet. That little girl has cultivated to the mid-stage of golden core and is even stronger than me. I absolutely won't believe it. Duanmu Lin pondered for a moment. Then, he suddenly smiled and said, I think it's possible. That cultivator called Shui Sha just said very clearly that there are indeed some people in this world who are gifted in cultivation. Maybe she really has broken through to the mid-stage of golden core. As for Tan Xiu, I'm really looking forward to seeing him now. I don't believe it. I don't believe it either. The others shook their heads, expressing their disbelief that Gu Yin's cultivation had reached the mid-stage of golden core. It must be noted that even if she was gifted, breaking through to the golden core stage at the age of 10 was too heaven-defying. It was so heaven-defying that they didn't even dare to imagine it. If Gu Yin was in her 20s, perhaps they could reluctantly accept it. Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. Duan Mulin smiled. Our top priority now is to seize the time to arrange the defense. Once those 2,000 to 3,000 demonic beasts rush out, we must be ready to fight to the death. Wait, what about Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng? They followed Tan Xiu and entered the depths of the mountain range. Now that Tan Xiu has come out, why haven't Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng come out? Hun Sen. Jiang Shuisheng. The two of them also entered the mountain range. A strange expression appeared on everyone's faces. But then they recalled that Tan Xiu and his men were able to come out of the mountain range alive. Perhaps the two of them had lost their way inside, so they hadn't come out for the time being. Look! Isn't that them? Suddenly, one of the middle-aged men pointed to the depths of the mountain range. Duan Mulin and the others looked in the direction the middle-aged man pointed and immediately saw two battered and exhausted figures shooting out from the inside. In just a few seconds, the two figures appeared in front of everyone. Director Duanmu. With a bit of regret on his face, Hun Sen shook his head and sighed. I'm afraid I have to report something very regrettable to you. What is it? Asked Duan Mulin with a frown. That Tang brat and his men have probably died tragically in the mouths of demonic beasts and become their food. Hun Sen sighed. We've been chasing them for a long time and found traces of them fighting with demonic beasts, but we didn't see any trace of them. Chapter 1029. What? Duan Mulin and more than a dozen cultivators exchanged dismayed glances with a strange expression on their faces. Hun Sen slightly furrowed his brows after seeing their strange expressions and said with dissatisfaction, "What's with your expressions?" "What I said is true. Director Duanmu, I know you value Tan Xiu very much, but he's just an arrogant and conceited brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Even if he has some cultivation, he can't show off here. Haven't you heard that those who drown are those who can swim and those who get slapped in the face are those who show off? That brat surnamed Tang is exactly that kind of trash." "Shut up." Duan Mulin's mind was filled with images of Tan Xiu and his men riddled with scars. He looked at the dissatisfied Hun Sen in front of him and shouted, "Tan Xiu won't die, and neither will his men. Hun Sen, I know you came from a reclusive family and brought a group of elite soldiers this time. But as a cultivator, you must have the qualities of a cultivator and know how to respect others." "What do you mean by that, Duan Mulin?" Hun Sen angrily asked. "How come I don't have the qualities of a cultivator? How come I don't know how to respect others? Did I say anything wrong? That brat was arrogant and conceited, yet he died in the hands of demonic beasts and is now likely to become their food. He only has himself to blame for such an ending. Hun Sen, I originally thought that you're quite young, yet you're very strong and have the heart of a righteous powerhouse. I didn't expect that you'd slander others, and you can't even tolerate others being powerful in your eyes," said Duan Mulin indifferently. "Let me tell you something. Tan Xiu is not dead, neither are his men. Just 10 minutes ago, he returned with all his men. Their bodies are riddled with scars and it's obvious that they have been engaged in a brutal battle with the demonic beasts. In my opinion, he used his strength and courage to win our respect. He and his men are the heroes of humanity for fighting the demonic beasts without fear of death." Immediately, more than a dozen cultivators around him looked indignant and loudly said, "That's right. That's right, he's a good man, and so are his subordinates. Tan Xiu is indeed alive. He just left for a few minutes." His subordinates were all real men. Even his little female disciple and the 5 children by his side were all amazing heroes. A little girl in her teens and 5 children under the age of 10. When they first came back, their bodies were covered in wounds. Those wounds were caused by the sharp claws and teeth of magical beasts. To think that you're a high-ranking member of a hidden family. To think that you didn't even understand the whole story before hurling insults. Other things can be faked, but the injuries of Tan Xiu's subordinates cannot be faked. Sigh, there really are all kinds of people in this world. I can't guess if you're jealous, or if you don't have the ability to catch up to him. You haven't seen him fight with the magical beasts, yet you're hurling insults here. Tan Xiao is a young hero, he deserves respect. Hun Sen was dumbfounded. He had never dreamed that his words would incur the wrath of the crowd. Moreover, he did not expect that his speculations were all wrong. Not only did Tan Xiao and his subordinates not die at the hands of the magical beasts, but they all came back alive. Could it be, the traces of battle that he and Jiang Shuisheng saw, and the pools of blood, did not belong to Tan Xiao and his subordinates? Could it be that they were left by magical beasts? Hun Sen's lips moved. For a moment, he did not know what to say. If what they said was true, then his arrogant words and his slander of Tan Xiao would be a complete disgrace. Hun Sen was not afraid of getting injured or dying. As a cultivator, he was afraid of losing face and being laughed at by others. Jiang Shuisheng frowned. He was secretly glad that he did not say anything earlier. However, Hun Sen was being mocked and ridiculed by the crowd. Some of their words also slandered him, which made him feel very embarrassed. Director Duanmu and all the friends in the cultivation world. Hun Sen just said his speculations and did not have any malice toward Tan Xiao. On the contrary, if Tan Xiao is still alive, I'm afraid that he will be secretly happy inside. That's because the more human experts are alive in the upcoming war, the more hope we have to win, said Jiang Shuisheng. That's a reasonable statement. A straightforward senior in the cultivation world snorted coldly. Hun Sen glared at him angrily and coldly said, "You all said that Tan Xiao is still alive. Then where are he and his men? Why aren't they here now that we're facing the enemy? According to our surveillance, thousands of demonic beasts are gathering in the depths of the Himalayas. It's a sign that they are going to attack us," said Duanmu Lin. Tan Xiao went there alone to investigate the situation, so he's not here now. His men are all injured, so they went to the rear to recuperate. It's inevitable to get injured in a fight with demonic beasts. Wouldn't it be too shameful to go back and recuperate after getting injured? Hun Sen snorted coldly. Bullshit. The straightforward old man pointed to the depths of the mountain range and said in a deep voice, "Open your eyes and take a look. Are those people coming out of their Tan Xiao's men? Take a look at their appearances. Do they look like they're slightly injured?" In a flash, everyone shifted their eyes to the direction the old man pointed. They saw dozens of cultivators covered in blood and looking terrible, looking battered and exhausted as they ran toward them. Some of them were even carried by their companions, and it was unknown whether they were dead or alive. Duanmu Lin had seen Tang Sek's disciples before, so he recognized the leader at a glance. It was Tan Xiao's man, Moo. Ignoring Hun Sen, he flashed forward to meet them in an instant. "How are your injuries, Moo?" Moo quickly made a gesture. As everyone stopped, Moo bitterly said, "One of our brothers died in battle, and the rest are all injured, most of them seriously injured." "Director Duanmu, has our sect master returned?" "You mean Tan Xiao?" asked Duanmu Lin. "He's our sect master." Moo nodded. Duanmu Lin's mind moved, but he didn't have the time to ask how Tan Xiao became the sect master. He nodded and said, "He came back with a group of people. But he knows that thousands of demonic beasts are gathering in the depths of the mountain range and will attack us at any time, so he went back alone to investigate the situation. Many of the others he brought back are seriously injured and have gone to the camp to recuperate." Moo's complexion slightly changed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Director Duanmu, our senior and junior brothers are also seriously injured. Please allow them to return to the camp to recuperate." Duanmu Lin heavily nodded and said, "You've worked hard. Go quickly." Moo turned to look at his senior and junior brothers in front of him and said in a deep voice, "Hey Wuya, Yishir-san, you two have the lightest injuries. Stay with me to find sect master and ensure his safety. As for the rest, go back to the camp to recuperate immediately. You must recover as fast as possible and prepare for the next battle." "Understood," shouted dozens of Tang sect disciples. Duanmu Lin's complexion changed. He hurriedly stopped Mo and said in a deep voice, "Your injuries are very serious. If I'm not mistaken, your lungs should have been pierced by demonic beasts. If you don't treat it in time, it will leave a serious hidden danger that may even affect your life. Listen to me, Tan Xiao will go to investigate alone. He can come back in time if he finds something amiss. If you go back to find him now, you may not be able to help him and will instead become a burden to him." Mo shook his head indifferently and said, "Director Duanmu, Sect Master's life is more important than ours. We'll stay behind to fight for a chance of survival for our Sect Master if he really encounters danger. Please don't stop me. I've made up my mind." Having said that, after that, he bypassed Duanmu Lin and led He Wuya and Yishir San toward the depths of the mountain range, quickly disappearing from everyone's sight. An anxious look flashed in He Xiong's eyes as he shouted in a deep voice, "Everyone, return to the camp and recuperate as fast as possible. Sect Master and Senior Brother Mo are likely to encounter a crisis. The sooner we recover our strength, the sooner we can rush over and fight alongside them." Understood. The other dozens of people hardly hesitated and followed He Xiong back to the camp. Each and every one of the people around Duanmu Lin looked at them with admiration. They had seen loyal and courageous people and fearless iron-blooded powerhouses, but they had never seen so many respectable powerhouses at once. Hun Sen fell into silence, while Jiang Shuisheng also lowered his head and didn't speak. The two of them were impressed by the imposing aura of Mo and the others. It was because they could tell that Mo and his men had just experienced a brutal battle, and they were very worried about Tang Xiu's safety from the bottom of their hearts. Tan Xiu. Hun Sen slowly closed his eyes. After a while, he abruptly opened them and said with difficulty, "I admit that I underestimated Tan Xiu. He's indeed a character." Jiang Shuisheng also nodded and said, "To be able to make his men regard his life as more important than their own, Tan Xiu is truly amazing." His subordinates were also very impressive. "It's a pity that we didn't catch up with them before, else I really hope to be able to fight side by side with such fearless heroes." A smile finally appeared on Duanmu Lin's face as he nodded and said, "I already told you that Tan Xiu is a real man of Huaxia. He'll probably risk his life to protect our country and its people when the country is in danger. Just look at his men. All of them are seriously injured and I'm afraid they have killed a lot of demonic beasts. Every time we kill a magical beast, it will give us a sliver of a chance of victory. I, Duanmu Lin, also hope to fight side by side with them to resolve the crisis." Chapter 1030. As Duanmu Lin's voice faded away, Aquababe came from a distance and appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. With a bit of fear on her face, she said, "Chief, we've counted the number of demonic beasts gathered. There are more than 4,150 of them. We can't tell how many powerful demonic beasts are among them. In addition, they are now rushing in our direction. It is estimated that they will reach our blockade in about half an hour." "What?" Duanmu Lin's expression drastically changed. He never expected that the number of demonic beasts would be so many. More than 4,000 demonic beasts. It was simply an impossible task to kill them all with their current armed forces. Even if they could kill all of them. Even if they could kill all the magical beasts, there wouldn't be many cultivators left. What should they do? Fight them head-on? Or use firearms? Wouldn't the effect of using firearms be very obvious? Hun Sen, who had just made a fool of himself, had a completely different attitude toward Duanmu Lin at this moment. He said in a deep voice, "Chief Duanmu, you're the commander-in-chief of this operation, so hurry up and issue the order. How are we going to resist the attack of these demonic beasts?" Duanmu Lin opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. He was also shocked by the news and couldn't think of a good countermeasure for a while. Suddenly, Duanmu Lin's eyes shifted to the depths of the mountain range again and saw dozens of bloody cultivators with murderous aura rushing toward his direction lightning fast. He also knew the one leading them. It was Jin Shi, who was appointed as the captain by Tan Xiu. "Are you all okay?" Duan Mulin went forward and asked with a concerned face. Jin Shi wiped the bloodstain on his face, but before he could answer, he coughed violently and spurted out a mouthful of blood. After he heaved a sigh of relief, he said with a tired face, "We're fine, Chief Duanmu. Although most of us are seriously injured, no one died in the battle. We've killed a lot of demonic beasts, nearly 100 of them." "Nearly 100? Duan Mulin revealed a horrified expression. It must be known that the number of magical beasts that had attempted to break through the blockade they had set up so far added up to less than 200 magical beasts. Jin Shi and his men were able to kill so many demonic beasts in such a short time. It was simply inconceivable. The others were also visibly moved and looked at Jin Shi and the dozens of Tang sect disciples in disbelief. After a long while, they gave him a thumbs up in unison. No one praised them because they felt that no words could express their admiration for Jin Shi and the others. "Jin Shi, Tan Xiu, and Mo's teams have returned," said Duan Mulin. Apart from one member of Mo's team who died in battle, the others were still alive and had gone to the rear to recuperate. Tan Xiu entered the depths of the mountain range while Mo chased after him with two people who were not seriously injured. "You don't have to worry. I believe you know Tan Xiu's abilities better than I do. So, all of you should hurry up and heal your injuries. I'm afraid there's going to be an even more brutal battle after this." Jin Shi's expression shifted and he asked, "Are the demonic beasts gathering to attack the blockade line?" "That's right." Duan Mulin forced a wry smile and said, "The number of demonic beasts has been confirmed. This is the largest number of magical beasts that have charged at us in this period of time, and it's at least 10 times more than before. If that's the case, then let's go back and recuperate first," said Jin Shi without hesitation. "Director Duanmu, please notify us immediately once those demonic beasts rush near the blockade line. We can join the battle at any time even if we're injured." "All right." Duan Mulin clenched his fists and lightly punched Jin Shi's chest twice and nodded heavily. Deep in the Himalayas, Tan Xiu was like a specter as he stepped on the pure white snow without leaving any footprints. He quickly rushed toward the place where the demonic beasts were gathering. Duan Mulin had asked Aquababe to send him the precise coordinates of the demonic beasts gathering. Hence, his speed was extremely fast. "There's a situation." Suddenly, Tan Xiu's expression changed and he quickly took out the invisibility talisman from his interspatial ring, along with dozens of raging flame and lightning talismans. After his figure disappeared, he dashed toward the hillside not far away. In just a few seconds, he was already standing on the hillside. Heavy snow rolled down from the mountain peaks in the distance like an avalanche, which was extremely frightening. However, the overwhelming number of demonic beasts in the heavy snow was either running on the ground or flying in the air. There were thousands of them and they were rushing toward the blockade line. "There are too many of them. The cultivators who arranged the blockade line won't be able to resist them at all. Once these demonic beasts break through the blockade line, they will pose a huge threat to the garrison outside. It will even bring a devastating disaster to the civilians in the towns and villages near Ugly. We must find a way to stop them. We must buy more time for Duan Mulin. There are a lot of cultivators in China. Whether it's ability users, ancient martial arts cultivators, Taoist cultivators, or some other cultivators, I'm afraid less than 1/10 of them have arrived. Only by buying more time can Duan Mulin have time to invite more experts to come and resist these demonic beasts together." Countless thoughts churned in Tan Xiu's mind. As killing intent surfaced in his eyes, his gaze quickly wandered back and forth among the crowd of demonic beasts. In his opinion, there must be a highly intelligent demonic beast controlling the tide of demonic beasts at this level. As the saying goes, to catch bandits, first catch the ringleader. If he could find that demonic beast and kill it at lightning speed, it would probably have a huge impact on the horde of demonic beasts. He might even be able to lead the horde of demonic beasts to collapse and cause them to give up on this attack. The horde of demonic beasts was getting closer and closer. Soon, they were only 2 to 3 kilometers away from Tan Xiu. At this moment, The invisible Tan Xiu moved. His figure turned into a bolt of lightning and instantly sprinted to a height of 100 meters. After he took out all the talismans, he threw all the lightning talismans when the bird-type demonic beasts were not far from him. Bolts of lightning appeared out of nowhere and struck a large number of bird-type demonic beasts. Along with ear-piercing screams and roars, dozens of the hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts fell from the sky. Although the lightning formed by the lightning talismans could not kill them directly, it was still very damaging. Furthermore, under the effect of the lightning talismans, they temporarily lost the ability to move. A few seconds later, the thousands of demonic beasts on the ground raised their heads and looked at the bird-type demonic beasts in the sky with horrified expressions. But at this moment, the invisible Tan Xiu had already appeared among these demonic beasts. As he activated countless blaze talismans, countless flames formed a sea of fire. In an instant, several demonic beasts were burned to death and hundreds of them were burned. Chaos. Roars. The originally orderly horde of demonic beasts had now become extremely chaotic. Roar, a deafening roar came from the horde of demonic beasts. A few of the weaker demonic beasts that were closer to the source of the roar were immediately shocked to death by the roar. The other demonic beasts also quickly quieted down. Looks of fear appeared on their faces. The chaotic horde of demonic beasts began to become orderly. In the horde of demonic beasts, Tan Xiu's gaze quickly locked onto a demonic beast that was only the size of a kitten and standing on the head of a unicorn-like demonic beast. Its body was too small. If not for Tan Xiu's sharp eyes, he would not have been able to find it easily. I didn't expect such a small demonic beast to have the ability to command a horde of demonic beasts. I'm afraid its small body is just a facade. I'm afraid it's very powerful. This thought flashed across Tan Xiu's mind. His figure instantly pounced towards the demonic beast. At the same time, the divine sword in his body also broke out of his body and instantly transformed into a huge sword that was tens of meters long in midair. With a sword aura that was close to 100 meters long, it fiercely slashed towards the small demonic beast. An all-out attack. In Tan Xiu's extraordinary 8 meridians, surging chaotic energy erupted wildly. Coupled with the power of the divine weapon, he forcefully tore a hole in the horde of demonic beasts. Dozens of demonic beasts were killed by Tan Xiu's sword. There were even more demonic beasts that were forced to retreat by the force of the sword. They frantically fled to the sides. The small demonic beast that was standing on the head of the unicorn suddenly expanded. In the blink of an eye, it had already expanded to the size of an adult elephant. It was so large that the unicorn was almost trampled to the ground. Roar, layers of black flames collided with the long sword that was slashing towards it. Together with the flames, a huge hammer smashed towards Tan Xiu's divine sword. Boom, the demonic beast commander was slashed by the divine sword. A bloody wound appeared on its body. The wound was so deep that the bone could be seen. It wailed in pain. If it wasn't for the demonic flame it spat out and the hammer of extraordinary quality, Tan Xiu's sword would have been able to successfully kill it. As for Tan Xiu, he felt his body tremble slightly. He immediately withdrew the divine sword and retreated backward. Unfortunately, although he had the invisibility talisman, the aura on his body was too strong. The demonic beasts that passed by all launched fierce attacks at him. Roar, the demonic beast commander roared angrily and gave the order to attack. It had not suffered such a serious injury in a long time. Therefore, it was completely enraged. It needed revenge. It needed to kill the human who had hurt it. The attack did not succeed. Tan Xiu did not want to continue fighting. Otherwise, once he was trapped in the horde of demonic beasts, even if his strength made a breakthrough, it would be difficult for him to escape unscathed. The divine sword continued to fly. Rays of sword chi shot out from the divine sword, forcing the demonic beasts to retreat. After inflicting serious injuries on them, he quickly broke away from the horde of demonic beasts and pounced towards the left. He wanted to escape. It would be best if he could lure the demonic beasts away and lead them somewhere else. Chapter 1031. Tan Xiu was well aware of his current abilities. Although he had many means, he was not an invincible god of war. Wanting to destroy thousands of demonic beasts in one go was simply a pipe dream. However, he was confident that he could create chaos among the demonic beasts and destroy their purpose of attacking the blockade line. He fled. His speed was as fast as lightning. The scene of thousands of demonic beasts running together was simply like a magnificent army with thousands of horses, majestic and imposing. The demonic beast commander-in-chief, who was at least at the late stage of Golden Core, was severely injured by Tan Xiu. It angrily commanded all the demonic beasts to chase after Tan Xiu. At this moment, Tan Xiu had put away the invisibility charm. What he needed now was to expose himself and attract these demonic beasts to other places. At Ugly Town. The temporary headquarters was inside an olive-green military tent. Dozens of LCD monitors were neatly arranged, all of them showing the surveillance footage of some important areas in the Himalayas. Duanmu Lin and several experts of the Special Abilities Bureau had worried looks on their faces as they pointed at a sand table and discussed the deployment of defense measures. "There's a situation, Chief." A member of the Special Abilities Bureau sitting in the corner suddenly had a change in expression and turned to Duanmu Lin behind him. Upon hearing this, Duanmu Lin and the experts from the Special Abilities Bureau dashed to the surveillance screen in the corner. When their eyes fell on the surveillance screen, their eyes suddenly widened and filled with disbelief. How is this possible? Despite Duanmu Lin's tenacious mind, he still couldn't help but exclaim. The member of the Special Abilities Bureau sitting there said, the surveillance footage just now was very normal. The number of demonic beasts on the screen kept increasing, but they were very orderly. However, lightning suddenly appeared in the sky out of nowhere and severely injured a lot of bird-type demonic beasts. Shortly after, a raging fire suddenly ignited among the demonic beasts on the ground out of nowhere. Several demonic beasts were directly burned to death in the places closest to the fire source, while hundreds of other demonic beasts were severely burned. Was it Tan Xiu? Asked Duanmu Lin in a deep voice. The Special Abilities Bureau member nodded repeatedly and said with a look of worship on his face, "That's right. It's Tan Xiu." Although his figure did not appear on the screen, as if he was invisible, a long sword suddenly appeared, and a sword light that was almost 100 meters long slashed into the group of magical beasts. Many magical beasts were struck to death by the impact, and even more magical beasts panicked and fled in all directions. I saw with my own eyes that the originally small magical beast suddenly increased in size by dozens of times and was almost killed by that sword. It seems like, the target of that long sword is that magical beast. Duanmu Lin stared at the monitor screen and asked in a deep voice, what happened next? Right after that, Tan Xiu's figure appeared out of thin air, said the Special Abilities Bureau member. He seems to have successfully enraged all the magical beasts, which is what you are looking at right now. These thousands of magical beasts are chasing after him. This is bad. There's no surveillance equipment in front of us. The surveillance footage is going to disappear soon. As soon as he finished speaking, Tan Xiu and the thousands of magical beasts disappeared from the surveillance screen. It was obvious that they were out of the range of the surveillance camera. Duanmu Lin looked angry and shouted in a deep voice, "That's just nonsense. Even if he has monstrous strength, he can't rush into the demonic beast horde alone. This is purely courting death." Aquababe also looked worried and said in a low voice, "Chief, should we send someone to pick him up? It's too dangerous to be chased by thousands of demonic beasts." "Support him," Duanmu Lin angrily said. "How? Are we going to throw our lives away? Thousands of demonic beasts. All of them are terrifying. I'm afraid we won't be enough to kill them even if we pull all of our men there." Suddenly, a middle-aged man standing next to Duanmu Lin slowly said, "I don't think so, Chief Duanmu. I think Tan Xiu must have a profound reason for doing this." Duanmu Lin turned his head and said, "You don't know Tan Xiu, Tianhe. This guy has always been audacious. What profound reason could he possibly have? Tianhe shook his head and said, Chief Duanmu, haven't you ever thought that our blockade line will be safe if we create chaos for those demonic beasts when they gather and lead them to other places? I've never seen Tan Xiu before, but I've studied him. He's mature, quick-witted, and very steady. I don't think he would have done this if he didn't have the confidence. Duanmu Lin was stunned. He faintly felt that Tianhe's words made sense. After carefully thinking about it for a while, he heaved a long sigh of relief and shook his head with a forced smile. I was too worried about that brat's safety, so I didn't think about it. You're right. Tan Xiu has always been steady and methodical. He wouldn't have taken the risk if he didn't have the confidence. Duanmu Lin's face was full of respect after saying that. He now understood Tan Xiu's painstaking efforts and admired him from the bottom of his heart. He wouldn't dare to do this even if he was twice as strong as him. That was because he would have probably died inside if something went wrong. Continue monitoring and report to me. Duanmu Lin took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. In the depths of the mountain range. Tan Xiu fled as fast as lightning. He didn't fly, but stepped on the snow-capped mountain and moved as fast as lightning. However, the demonic beasts chasing him weren't slow either. Dozens of powerful demonic beasts were getting closer and closer to him. I have to think of a way to stop them. I've used up all the array discs, so it's impossible to arrange an array in an instant. If I don't have time, it'll be very difficult to arrange a powerful array before they catch up with me. While Tang Xiu was running, his mind was racing. Suddenly, his expression moved as he suddenly had an idea. As his figure soared into the sky, he instantly unsheathed the divine sword and sprinted toward the mountain in front of him. When he was halfway up the mountain and was about to reach the summit, he fiercely slashed the mountain with his sword. Boom! The mountain rocks were split open and directly caused an avalanche. Behind him, thousands of demonic beasts looked angry at the same time. They never thought that this human would be so insidious as to rely on an avalanche to stop them from chasing. Only the hundreds of flying demonic beasts in the sky weren't affected. They flapped their wings and kept chasing. He's in the next valley. With a firm look on his face, Tan Xiu quickly turned his head and glanced at the sky behind him. He looked at the hundreds of flying demonic beasts and sensed the aura they released. He found that only 2 of them were at the Golden Core stage, while the rest were at the Foundation Establishment stage. Sect Master. In the distance, Mo Al and 2 experts of the Tang sect sprinted over at lightning speed. They could clearly see the flying demonic beasts in the sky. It was because of those flying demonic beasts that they found Tan Xiu's trail. Tan Xiu's expression changed and an anxious look appeared in his eyes. He never thought that he would bump into Mo Al and the others here. Where are they? Mo Al brought dozens of Tang sect disciples with him. How come there are only 3 of them now? Where are the other disciples? It's dangerous. Hurry up. Tan Xiu's figure soared into the sky. His long sword shot out tens of meters of sword light and fiercely swept toward the overwhelming demonic beasts flying over. Layers of sword light instantly turned into a sea of swords, attempting to contend with hundreds of demonic beasts. The speed of the 3 was extremely fast. They crossed the distance of 700 to 800 meters in just a dozen seconds. When they appeared in the air, Tan Xiu brandished his long sword and threw the flock of flying demonic beasts into chaos. There were even a few bird-type magical beasts that were directly killed by him. Why are there only 3 of you, all? Where are the rest of your team? Tan Xiu shouted without turning his head. They've left the mountain range to recuperate, Sect Master, said Mo Al in a deep voice. But one of our team members died in battle and most of them are seriously injured. Tan Xiu felt a bit relieved and said in a deep voice, there are still thousands of demonic beasts at the back of the mountain. You all go to the valley in front and wait there. I'll catch up with you immediately. I need to arrange an array there. Hao Lei and her team members are all in the valley behind, Sect Master, said Mo hurriedly. Their situation is not very good. Several of them are seriously injured and have lost their fighting ability. More than a dozen of them are seriously injured and can't exert much combat power even if they fight. If we lead the demonic beasts to them, they will fall there. What? Tan Xiu was shaken inwardly. He gritted his teeth and said, we can't afford to care about that anymore. Take advantage of the fact that the thousands of demonic beasts behind haven't caught up yet. Tell them to get ready for battle. I'll be there in a minute. I'll need you to fend off these flying demonic beasts when the time comes. I'll take the opportunity to arrange an array. Understood, replied Mo without hesitation. Immediately after, he and the other two dashed toward the valley behind. While Tan Xiu was fending off and killing hundreds of flying demonic beasts, they disappeared into the valley in the distance. More than a dozen demonic beasts were besieging Hao Lei and dozens of Tang sect's disciples on the sparkling lake. Nearly half of the disciples were seriously injured, and only about 20 of them could fight these demonic beasts. Additionally, these demonic beasts were very strong, and there was even a golden core stage demonic beast among them. Hold on. We'll get a chance to breathe as long as we kill these demonic beasts. Mo and the others just appeared nearby, but they didn't come to us. That means there are other Tang sect disciples nearby. We'll kill our way out when we get together. Hao Lei's complexion was pale and there was a bloody scar on her forehead. The blood dyed her gorgeous face red, making her look a bit more ferocious. Kill. The other disciples of Tang sect who were slightly injured suddenly had their attack power soar. Chapter 1032. At such a critical juncture, one more person meant more power. While Hao Lei and dozens of Tang sect disciples were fighting the dozens of demonic beasts with all their might, Mo and his two companions rushed over lightning fast. Just as Hao Lei and the others were pleasantly surprised, Mo's group of 3 joined the battle. Sect Master is being chased by hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts, Hao Lei. He'll be here soon. We must kill all these demonic beasts within a minute, else it'll affect Sect Master's plan. Mo was as fast as lightning. He swept his immortal sword and injured a demonic beast. The moment the demonic beast dodged, the other 2 joined forces and directly killed it. Hao Lei's expression changed and she hurriedly called out, "Did you tell Sect Master about our situation here, Mo? If those hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts are lured here by Sect Master, it'll be very difficult for all of us to escape." Mo's attack didn't stop. Despite being injured, he still attacked the other demonic beasts with a murderous aura. At the same time, he shouted, "Sect Master will arrange an array here. You all know how accomplished he is in arrays, so you don't need to worry. However, we need to kill these demonic beasts first and then help Sect Master resist those hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts. Else, we'll die when the rest of the demonic beasts catch up." Hao Lei was secretly relieved after hearing that Tan Xiu was going to arrange an array here. However, Mo's words made her heart tighten again and she asked aloud, "You mean, there are other demonic beasts chasing boss aside from those hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts?" "There are thousands of them," answered Mo aloud. Hiss, upon hearing the news, Hao Lei and the dozens of Tang sect disciples couldn't help but gasp. Thousands of demonic beasts. If so many demonic beasts were to rush over, wouldn't it be very difficult to kill them all even if Sect Master arranged an array here? Someone's going to die. Hao Lei wailed inwardly and shouted, "Heed my order, everyone. We must not affect Sect Master's plan. Even if we all die in battle, we must ensure that Sect Master arranged an array here. Kill them all even if we have to perish together with these damned demonic beasts. Kill. Kill them." More than 20 disciples of Tang sect went crazy. Their eyes were filled with bloodlust. As their eyes gradually turned red, their momentum and offensive power rose rapidly. There were even a few disciples of Tang sect who had gone through countless battles that stimulated their body's potential at this moment. The true essence in their bodies surged crazily and they broke through to a new realm. Die. Hao Lei's eyes were bloodshot, and the blood vessels on her arms began to wriggle. Surging true essence crazily rushed through her meridians. The meridians that had been blocking her meridians were now being broken apart by the surging true essence. As the new meridians were opened, she, who was in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, directly broke through to the Gold Core realm. As the spiritual chi of heaven and earth crazily rushed towards her from all directions, a sesame-sized gold core formed in her dantian. Danger. Among the dozens of magical beasts, the magical beast with the strength of the golden core stage revealed a horrified expression. It could feel a human's aura constantly rising, and it could also feel the surrounding airflow crazily rushing towards her. This kind of situation would only occur when magical beasts were breaking through. Run. The magical beast with the strength of the golden core stage was much more intelligent than the other magical beasts. It only hesitated for a moment before it immediately gave up on attacking the others. Instead, it tried its best to repel the humans who joined forces to defend against it and then bolted away. Puff. 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 Blood blossomed as Hao Lei, who had broken through to the golden core stage, and the other disciples of Tang's sect crazily slaughtered the demonic beasts one after another. In the distance, a figure flashed in the air behind him, followed by hundreds of magical beasts flapping their wings and chasing after him. Tang Xiu's speed was extremely fast. When he saw a demonic beast with a very strong aura dashing toward his direction, he didn't even think about it as he manipulated his flying sword and fiercely slashed toward its head. Puff. Tang Xiu, whose strength was comparable to a nascent soul stage powerhouse, directly hit the golden core stage demonic beast with the power of the divine sword. At this moment, two silver needles shot out from the gap between his fingers and accurately hit the eyes of the magical beast. Roar. A mournful roar came out of the demonic beast's mouth. Tang Xiu sneered. His figure slightly paused and the divine sword once again blasted out a sharp light that directly pierced the demonic beast's body. Immediately after, the divine sword swept in an arc and chopped off the head of the demonic beast. Its corpse was then instantly taken into Tang Xiu's interspatial ring. How are the casualties? Asked Tang Xiu aloud as he dashed toward Hao Lei and the others. 18 of them are seriously injured, Sect Master, said Hao Lei aloud. Some of them have lost their combat effectiveness. The others can still fight, but their combat effectiveness is somewhat affected. Block those bird-type demonic beasts for me. I need to arrange a feng shui array, said Tang Xiu in a deep voice. If we can't trap them here today and inflict heavy casualties on them, the blockade on the periphery of the mountain range will be greatly impacted and may even be broken. Thousands of demonic beasts may rush to the outside world. Understood. Hao Lei didn't say much. The sesame-sized golden core in her body had nearly absorbed all the true essence in her meridians. Even the massive amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy in the surroundings was still continuously drilled into her body and refined into her golden core. Tang Xiu also noticed Hao Lei's situation at this moment. He didn't expect that the first one to break through to the golden core stage after Gu Xiaoxue, Gu Yin, Tang Guang, and Tang An turned out to be Hao Lei, who usually didn't show her talent. Although he knew that Hao Lei's cultivation speed was very fast, it was still too fast for her to break through at this time. Set up the array. Tang Xiu didn't have time to think about other things. He took out pieces of jade from his interspatial ring and instantly released his spiritual sense to cover a radius of hundreds of meters. His figure kept moving and soon, a large area with a diameter of nearly a kilometer was determined by him. Whoosh! 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 Pieces of jade were shot to different positions. At the same time, he continuously released the primal chaos force inside his body and quickly drew the array pattern. In midair, Mo, Hao Lei, and more than 20 Tang sect disciples all unleashed their immortal swords and dharma weapons to fight against hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts. Since there were 2 golden core stage demonic beasts among the hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts, they had fallen into a disadvantageous position. However, since they had cultivated sword arrays, more than 20 people joined hands and arranged 2 sword arrays to block the bird-type demonic beasts, so no one died in the battle in a short time. Hurry up! Hurry up! The more dangerous the situation was, the calmer Tan Xiu became. In order to race against time, he immersed himself in the state of drawing the array pattern. Time passed quickly as he carved out the complicated array patterns. In just a few minutes, thousands of demonic beasts had appeared on the distant mountain peak. In particular, dozens of demonic beasts that were comparable to Golden Core stage powerhouses had climbed over the mountain and quickly swooped down toward the valley. Puff! A Tang sect disciple was hit by a bird-type demonic beast with Golden Core stage strength. A few bloody wounds were torn on his chest and his body was sent flying backward. At this moment, a gap appeared in the sword array. 2 bird-type demonic beasts at Foundation Establishment stage took the opportunity to appear here and sent the other 2 Tang sect disciples flying. Activate the array. Finally, Tan Xiu stimulated his potential and arranged a complete array. The array had a diameter of nearly a kilometer. Not only could it trap demonic beasts, but it also had a powerful offensive effect. Tan Xiu was confident that once a large number of demonic beasts were lured into the array, he would be able to harvest their lives continuously. It was time to turn around. Tan Xiu looked at the Tang sect disciples who were being attacked by hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts and shouted, "Everyone, retreat to my side and follow me into the array." Immediately, each and every one of the Tang sect's disciples who were struggling to resist the demonic beasts looked ecstatic. As the seriously injured disciples retreated to Tang Xiu's side, more than 20 Tang sect's disciples who were resisting the demonic beasts also dashed forward lightning fast. "Enter the array!" shouted Tan Xiu fiercely. In less than 10 seconds, dozens of Tang sect disciples entered the array. Under Tan Xiu's instructions, they quickly moved inside the array. Whoosh! 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 The bird-type demonic beasts quickly rushed into the range of the array. Just as they entered the array, the world in front of them suddenly changed. Flames blotted out the sky and shrouded them. Roar! Scrch, scrch, croak. Croak! Most of the bird-type demonic beasts that entered the array looked fearful. They were afraid of flames, especially the intense heat emitted by these flames, which made them feel the threat of death. However, no matter how they dodged or spat out demonic flames, they couldn't extinguish these flames. Several demonic beasts that could devour flames looked ecstatic. They opened their mouths and swallowed the flames, but a few seconds later, those demonic beasts let out mournful screams. His body was set ablaze, and in the end, only monster cores were left behind, falling to the ground. True fire. Thunderbolt. Electric grid. Hurricane. After placing the dozens of Tang sect disciples in a safe area, Tan Xiu immediately manipulated the array to attack the hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts. Flames appeared out of thin air and burned the bird-type demonic beasts. Thunderous rumbles shook the place and made all the bird-type demonic beasts dizzy. Shortly after, lightning bolts formed an electric grid and trapped the demonic beasts, while the hurricane tore them apart and made them fall down. Chapter 1033. While controlling the array, Tan Xiu crazily slaughtered hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts that rushed in and shouted, "All, distribute 10 holy healing pills to everyone. In addition, all of you must immediately take some healing medicine. You must recover some of your fighting strength within 5 minutes." Understood. All replied and immediately took out a lot of holy healing pills from his interspatial ring. He had been following Tan Xiu for a long time, so he had a lot of resources in his hands. After distributing the holy healing pills to everyone, he looked up at Tan Xiu and asked aloud, "What are we going to do next, Sect Master?" "Heal your wounds immediately, everyone," said Tan Xiu in a deep voice. "Evacuate the array in 5 minutes and evacuate to the outside of the mountain range as fast as possible. If you encounter demonic beasts on the way, don't get entangled with them and return to the encampment as fast as possible. Hao Lei, stay here." Understood. Hao Lei respectfully replied. She was very happy to have broken through to the golden core stage because she was perfectly aware of one thing. She would be rewarded handsomely once she got out of this mountain range if she didn't die. Sect Master Tan Xiu once said that whoever broke through to the golden core stage first would get a lot of resources as a reward. As she swallowed a holy healing pill, the huge medicinal efficacy began to heal her wounds, and a small part of it was absorbed by her golden core. The golden core, which was only the size of a sesame seed, had doubled in size in a short period of time. And it was still increasing at an extremely fast speed. The true essence inside my body and the crazy absorption of the heaven and earth spiritual chi from the outside should be able to increase the size of my golden core to the size of a rice grain in a short time. I can feel that my strength is at least 4 to 5 times stronger due to the advancement of my cultivation. Hao Lei raised her head with satisfaction and looked at Tan Xiu, asking aloud, "Do you need my help, Sect Master?" "Not for the time being," said Tan Xiu in a deep voice. "Go to the corpses of those demonic beasts in 2 minutes and pack them up. Remember, none of the demon cores must be left behind. Oh, give Hao Lei an invisibility talisman. I remember you still have a few." Mo All replied and handed an invisibility charm to Hao Lei. Then, he said in a deep voice, "Wear it. As long as you don't release your aura, neither humans nor demonic beasts will be able to see you. But remember, you must avoid those magical beasts." Hao Lei had only heard of the invisibility talisman before, but she had never seen one before. At this moment, her heart was filled with excitement as she nodded heavily. Mo All looked at Hao Lei with a complicated look in his eyes. He could tell Hao Lei's current cultivation level from the changes in her aura. Golden Core Stage. Even in his dreams, he wanted to break through to the next realm, but because his cultivation talent was not enough, even if he did not dare to slack off in the slightest, he still had not broken through. But Hao Lei actually broke through to the Golden Core stage, and she didn't get the title of first place. What made him even more envious was that in the past, Sect Master Tan Xiu had always left him behind to help. Now that Hao Lei had broken through, this task had fallen onto Hao Lei's shoulders. Cultivate. I have to train like crazy. Even if I have to pay a price, I have to break through to the Golden Core stage as soon as possible. Only by breaking through to the Golden Core stage will I be qualified to serve the Sect Master at his beck and call. Mo All clenched his fists and secretly swore in his heart. Tan Xiu was controlling the feng shui formation, and at the same time, he was also observing the situation outside. Among the thousands of magical beasts running on the ground, dozens of them were comparable to Golden Core stage experts. They were less than 200 meters away from the feng shui formation. And in the formation, there were still nearly 100 bird-type magical beasts that were being slaughtered, struggling and resisting. Hao Lei, we can't wait for 2 minutes. Go and collect the bodies of the magical beasts immediately. Tan Xiu shouted in a deep voice. Immediately. Hao Lei followed Tan Xiu's instructions and quickly entered the area where the bird-type magical beasts were being attacked. When she saw that there were hundreds of bird-type magical beasts, but only about 100 of them were struggling and resisting all kinds of attacks, her face was instantly filled with shock. Hurry! Tan Xiu shouted in a stern voice. Hao Lei suppressed the shock in her heart and quickly collected the corpses of the magical beasts into her interspatial ring. In addition, dozens of demon cores that fell outside were also quickly collected into her interspatial ring. Without Tan Xiu's order, she didn't evacuate in time and just watched the bird-type magical beasts die tragically one after another. Her speed of collecting the corpses didn't slow down at all. It's done. Tan Xiu looked at Hao Lei and said when dozens of magical beasts rushed into the feng shui formation. At this moment, Hao Lei also noticed that dozens of magical beasts suddenly rushed in, and none of them was weaker than her. Such a discovery made her shiver all over and she dashed toward the safe area almost instantly. In just a few seconds, she returned to Tan Xiu's side. Oh, take them and evacuate in 2 minutes. Tan Xiu said in a deep voice. Understood. All glanced at Hao Lei and nodded. Time fleeted by. 3 to 4,000 demonic beasts rushed into the feng shui formation, especially the largest one. It became angrier and more manic in the face of all kinds of attacks coming from the formation. Concentrate your attacks. Following its roar, thousands of demonic beasts suddenly locked on an area in the sky and attacked it with all their might, be it demonic flames or other means. Tan Xiu, who was controlling the feng shui formation, suddenly trembled. Blood flowed out of his 7 orifices and his internal organs felt like they were being burned. God damn it! These demonic beasts actually know how to break the formation with brute force and even know to attack the same direction at the same time. If they keep attacking like this array will only last for a few minutes at most before they break it. As he thought up to this point, Tan Xiu raised his hand to wipe the blood off his face and shouted in a deep voice, "All, take everyone and evacuate immediately. There are too many demonic beasts and their attack power is beyond my estimation. Hurry up and evacuate with Hao Lei. I'll follow you later." Mo and Hao Lei exchanged glances and nodded to each other. Then, they grabbed their companions who had lost their ability to fight and were severely injured and quickly left the array under Tan Xiu's guidance. After identifying the direction, they sprinted toward the outside of the mountain range. Tan Xiu stood at the eye of the array with a grim expression. Even though thousands of demonic beasts were attacking the array at the same time, he still didn't give up. It was because demonic beasts were seriously injured by the array's attacks every second, and many weaker ones were even killed. Hold on. Even if they could hold on for half a minute longer, the number of demonic beasts killed would increase and the threat they posed to humans in the future would be reduced. Time fleeted by. The array seemed to have turned into a meat grinder as thousands of demonic beasts roared and screamed miserably while attacking. As the array was on the verge of collapsing and Tan Xiu's injuries worsened, a jade stone at the array's base finally cracked. Collect them. Tan Xiu released his divine telekinesis and swept up the demonic beasts' corpses and demon cores, stuffing them into his interspatial ring. In just a dozen seconds, he had collected hundreds of demonic beasts' corpses and dozens of demon cores. Half a minute. Tan Xiu judged that the array would only last for half a minute before it was destroyed by the remaining demonic beasts if he lost control. He immediately rushed out of the array without hesitation. His speed was so fast that he was like a bolt of lightning as he shot into the distance. 20 seconds. Tang Xiu had already appeared a few kilometers away and his figure had hidden into a crevice in a mountain stream the moment the array broke. On the pure white snow, Tang Xiu was like a wisp of blue smoke as he passed through the crevice of the mountain stream without leaving a trace and quickly appeared on the other side of the mountain. "Oh, send me your location and coordinates." Tan Xiu took out his communication device and quickly sent a message to Moo. "Oh, send me your location and coordinates." Shortly after, Moo replied. Tan Xiu quickly caught up with them according to the precise coordinates sent by Moo. After receiving a heavily wounded man, Tan Xiu said in a deep voice, "We must seize every second to leave the depths of this mountain range and heal our wounds outside. Of the thousands of demonic beasts, at least 1,000 have died in our hands. I don't know whether the remaining demonic beasts will continue to attack the outer blockade line, but we've done what we can, so we can only leave the rest to fate and get ready to fight at any time." The tens of Tang sect disciples understood Tan Xiu's meaning very well. However, the fact that he could use an array to kill nearly 1,000 demonic beasts shocked everyone. The way they looked at Tan Xiu was now completely different. Of course, they were also deeply aware of the power of the array. Therefore, they secretly made up their minds that after returning to Nine Dragons Island, they must go to the library pavilion to pick up some ancient books on arrays and study them so that they could strive to become array grandmasters in the future. 2 hours later. Tan Xiu finally rushed out of the mountain range with dozens of people and appeared near the blockade line. They encountered dozens of demonic beasts on the way, but Tan Xiu personally killed them all. At Ugly Town. In the olive-green military tent, Duan Mulin was sitting cross-legged and recuperating. Half an hour ago, hundreds of demonic beasts had appeared on the western front, and he had even personally led a group of people to reinforce them. After driving those demonic beasts back, he had also suffered some injuries, and had expended a lot of energy. "We have a situation, Chief." The member of the Special Abilities Bureau sitting in front of the LCD screen in the corner suddenly turned his head and shouted. Duan Mulin instantly opened his eyes. After looking at the member of the Special Abilities Bureau, he instantly dashed to the front of the LCD screen and quickly asked, "What's the situation?" The member pointed to the monitor screen and said, "Chief, those thousands of demonic beasts just appeared in the 40-second monitoring area. However, it's strange that some of them are injured and their number seems to be much less than the previous count." Chapter 1034. Duan Mulin stared at the monitor screen. After observing for a while, he found that the number of demonic beasts in the monitor screen was indeed much less than the previous count of more than 4,000. Many of the magical beasts even had serious injuries, as if they had just experienced a fierce battle. Immediately count the number of demonic beasts in the monitor screen. Duan Mulin had a faint guess inwardly, but the result of this guess terrified him. Therefore, he wasn't sure whether his guess was accurate or not. Soon after, more than a dozen members of the Special Abilities Bureau began to count the number of demonic beasts in the monitor screen. After counting, they found that there were more than 3,280 demonic beasts. More than 900 of them are missing. Duan Mulin's expression turned extremely strange, and the guess in his heart became more and more intense. He grabbed his communicator and pulled out Tan Xiu's cell number, but he hesitated and didn't dial it. He was afraid that Tan Xiu was now in a crisis. If he called him at this time and caused him trouble, it would not be worth it. Suddenly, a member of the Special Abilities Bureau frowned and said with a puzzled expression, "That's strange. There were clearly hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts in the previous monitor screen. How come there's no bird-type demonic beast in this one? But there are a lot of feathers and bloodstains on the ground." Duan Mulin's expression shifted. His pupils suddenly shrunk and a horrified look appeared in his eyes. He just faintly felt that there was something wrong with the demonic beasts in the monitor screen, but he couldn't figure out what the problem was. After being reminded by this member of the Special Abilities Bureau, he instantly realized that all the bird-type demonic beasts had disappeared. Could it be, all the bird-type demonic beasts are dead? Duan Mulin froze for a long while before he immediately turned and ran out of the tent. At the same time, he shouted, "Follow me to the blockade line and wait for Tan Xiu and the others to return." At the blockade line, Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng led their men and vigilantly observed the depths of the mountain range with the experts of the Special Abilities Bureau. They had received news in advance that thousands of demonic beasts were gathering and were likely to attack the blockade line, so they didn't dare to be careless. Director Duanmu. Upon seeing Duan Mulin's arrival, the two men immediately greeted him respectfully. Previously, they had heard that Duan Mulin had gone to the Western Front and fought with hundreds of magical beasts. As a result, he had suffered some injuries. Now that they saw the wounds on Duan Mulin's body, they immediately knew that the news was true. Duan Mulin's eyes were like torches as he asked in a deep voice, "Have Tan Xiu and the others returned yet?" "No." Hun Sen shook his head. After a moment of silence, Duan Mulin slowly said, "If my guess is correct, Tan Xiu and his men should have done something big in the depths of the mountain range. But I can't be 100% sure. I need him to come back before I can get an accurate result." "Director Duanmu, what's your guess?" asked Hun Sen curiously. The surveillance footage from the depths of the mountain range shows that more than 4,100 demonic beasts have changed their positions after some time. "They were all chasing after Tang Xiu before," said Duan Mulin. "However, it didn't take long for their numbers to decrease drastically. Now, there were only 3,200 of them left. I suspect that nearly 1,000 magical beasts were killed by Tan Xiu and his men." "Impossible. What kind of joke is this?" Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng exclaimed at the same time. Disbelief was written all over their faces, and there was even a bit of disdain in their eyes. Killing more than 1,000 demonic beasts. Did he think those demonic beasts were old hens? That they could be killed so easily. I can't believe it either, actually. Duanmu Lin forced a wry smile and said, but according to the surveillance footage, as well as the fact that Tan Xiu was chased by those demonic beasts, that's why I speculated it. After all, killing nearly 1,000 demonic beasts, including hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts, is just too inconceivable. Director Duanmu, I don't think you need to speculate like that. Hun Sen sneered. Even if Tan Xiu is a celestial being, it's impossible for him to kill so many demonic beasts in such a short time. I know you value Tan Xiu very much, and you also think that Tan Xiu is very powerful. But it's best to give up the idea of adding glory to him. I think Hun Sen's words are very reasonable. Jiang Shuixing agreed. Even if Tan Xiu has some strength, he's only at the golden core stage at most. Can he kill nearly 1,000 demonic beasts among thousands of them with his golden core stage cultivation base? That's just a joke. It's simply impossible. Director Duanmu, it's not wrong to think highly of a person, but it's pointless to think without any bottom line. Duanmu Lin opened his mouth, but he didn't know how to defend himself. He understood Hun Sen and Jiang Shuixing's thoughts. In fact, his thoughts were almost the same as theirs. Hun Sen looked at the depths of the mountain range again and said, Director Duanmu, I'm afraid you know the strength of those demonic beasts the best. Even if all of us were to join forces, you should be well aware of the price we have to pay to kill nearly 1,000 demonic beasts in this mountain range. Most of Tan Xiu's men have already evacuated. According to the information I gathered, there are only about 40 people left in the mountain range besides Tan Xiu and Mo's group. It's already a problem for them to protect themselves amidst thousands of demonic beasts, let alone kill them. If you ask me, I think those nearly 1,000 demonic beasts have probably gone somewhere else. It's very likely that they're trying to avoid our surveillance and are heading towards the blockade line. Duanmu Lin's heart tightened. He was also worried that such a situation would happen. After all, only a few hundred demonic beasts were dispatched at most when they attacked the blockade line. If nearly 1,000 demonic beasts rushed out, it would be a huge threat to them. But, what about Tan Xiu? It's been half a day, so he should have returned by now, right? Inform everyone to get ready for battle. Let's wait for a while more. Duanmu Lin secretly prayed inwardly, praying that Tan Xiu could safely escape from the pursuit of the demonic beasts and come back smoothly. It was because the backbone of the men brought by Tan Xiu was Tan Xiu. If something happened to Tan Xiu, it would seriously affect their performance in the next battle. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures flickered lightning fast from the direction of Ugly Town and appeared in front of Duanmu Lin, Hun Sen, and Jiang Shuixing in the blink of an eye. Jin Shi, Yishir San, how are your injuries? Duanmu Lin hurriedly asked with concern upon seeing them. Thank you for your concern, Director Duanmu, said Jin Shi. Most of our injuries have healed and we can join the battle at any time. Duanmu Lin felt relieved and nodded. Tan Xiu and the rest haven't come back yet. They should have encountered some trouble in the mountain range. You should hurry to recuperate. You can enter the mountain range to help them after your injuries are completely healed. I just received a notice from Sect Master that they're coming out and should be here soon. Jin Shi shook his head. Don't worry, Director Duanmu. We have great faith in Sect Master's ability. Duanmu Lin's spirit shook and he hurriedly asked, you mean Tan Xiu and the rest have escaped? And they're rushing outside now? That's right. Jin Shi nodded. Did Tan Xiu tell you what's going on with those demonic beasts? Asked Duanmu Lin hurriedly. How come nearly 1,000 demonic beasts disappeared for no reason? Especially the bird-type demonic beasts, none of them are left. No. Jin Shi shook his head. Sect Master just told me that many of our martial brothers and sisters are seriously injured and need timely treatment. That's why we came to meet them. Having said that, he turned to look in the direction of Ugly Town and saw dozens of Tang Sect's disciples rushing over with stretchers. Their injuries weren't serious, and their injuries were much better after treatment. Duan Mulin pondered for a moment and resolutely said, since Tan Xiu told you to come and meet them, then let's immediately head to the depths of the mountain range to meet them. We can also rescue them in time should they encounter demonic beasts on the way. Jin Shi gave it a thought and nodded. Then let's welcome them inside. A few minutes later. Just a few kilometers into the depths of the mountain range, dozens of humans who looked like they just crawled out of hell were drenched in blood and looked too horrible to look at. Their leader, Tan Xiu, was covered in blood and had blood stains on his 7 orifices. Tragic. Very tragic. Despite having encountered many tragic scenes, Duan Mulin, Hun Sen, Jiang Shuisheng, and the others were still shocked by the appearance of Tan Xiu's group. They simply couldn't imagine what kind of tragic battle Tan Xiu's group had encountered in the depths of the mountain range. Tan Xiu, Duan Mulin's lips wriggled, but his words were stuck in his throat. All he could do was raise his right hand and give a thumbs up to Tan Xiu and the tens of Tang sect's disciples. Tang Xiu grinned. His injuries were very serious, especially the burning sensation coming from his 5 viscera and 6 bowels that made it difficult for him to breathe. Even so, he still squeezed out a smile and shook his head. Senior Duanmu, our injuries are very serious and we need to recuperate as soon as possible. You can rest assured that this horde of demonic beasts won't attack us for the time being, but it's hard to say if it takes too long. Tell everyone to prepare for the war. Duan Mulin touched his chest to smooth his breathing and said aloud, Tan Xiu, hurry up and recuperate. Leave those demonic beasts to us for the time being. We won't let them disturb your recuperation in the camp as long as we're alive. Everyone, quickly put the seriously injured members on the stretchers and immediately return to Ugly. Quickly. More than a dozen seriously injured members were put on the stretchers. Some of the Tang sect's members who could still move followed the team and rushed outside. On the way back, Duan Mulin's eyes kept lingering on Tan Xiu. After enduring for a minute or two, he couldn't help but ask, Tan Xiu, can I ask you something? I hope you can answer me seriously. Chapter 1035. According to the surveillance footage from the camp, there were more than 4,100 demonic beasts gathered in the depths of the mountain range, but only 3,200 remained. Especially the bird-type demonic beasts. They're all gone. Can you tell me what's going on? In a flash. Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng also pricked up their ears and fixed their eyes on Tan Xiu. Tang Xiu smiled and said, we killed all those demonic beasts that disappeared without a trace. You've seen the price I paid. My men are very miserable. That's impossible. Although Hun Sen admired Tang Xiu very much, he still shouted, Tang Xiu, that's nearly 1,000 demonic beasts. It's not 10 or 100 demonic beasts, it's nearly 1,000. And those demonic beasts are with more than 3,000 other demonic beasts. Even if you have 10 times more people, it's impossible for you to kill so many demonic beasts, no? Tan Xiu glanced at the red light and smilingly said, we really don't have the confidence to kill so many demonic beasts if it were a normal fight. Let alone killing them, it would be difficult for us to even protect ourselves. However, I've arranged a geomancy array and used it to attack. It's still possible. How can you prove it? Asked Hun Sen in a deep voice. All the demonic beasts' corpses are in my interspatial ring. Tan Xiu chuckled. Senior Hun Sen, you should know about interspatial rings, right? It's a storage-type magic treasure unique to us cultivators. Hun Sen's pupils shrunk and disbelief filled his eyes. He never dreamed that Tan Xiu would have such a storage-type magic treasure like an interspatial ring. He didn't expect that they not only killed nearly 1,000 demonic beasts, but also brought their corpses back. How did he do it? Hun Sen didn't believe it at first, but he had to believe it when Tan Xiu said that he had demonic beasts' corpses. He knew very well that Tan Xiu would never lie about demonic beasts' corpses. Duan Mulin's heart was in turmoil. Looking at Tan Xiu's calm expression, he didn't know what to say. Relying on the geomancy array, they were able to kill nearly 1,000 demonic beasts. Wasn't this terrifying achievement too heaven-defying? Suddenly, Duanmu Lin seemed to realize something. His eyes instantly lit up and his footsteps came to a halt. Senior Duanmu, what happened? Tan Xiu stopped and turned around to ask in surprise. Duanmu Lin stared at Tan Xiu and asked word by word, Tan Xiu, if you were to set up a geomancy array on the periphery of the Himalayas, which is our blockade line, would you be able to stop those demonic beasts with it? Tan Xiu nodded and said, I'm sure of it. It's just that a lot of materials are needed to set up a large array, especially for a long-distance array. The number of materials needed to cover a large area is even more terrifying. Duanmu Lin looked ecstatic and loudly said, no matter how much you need, I can get it for you. Tell me, what materials do you need? Tan Xiu faintly smiled and said, when we return to the camp, I'll immediately make a list of required materials and give it to you. Good. Ha ha ha. I knew it. I still need to rely on you to fend off those demonic beasts. Over the past year, you've given me too many surprises. Tan Xiu modestly replied, you flatter me, Senior Duanmu. If it weren't for the help of so many friends in the cultivation world, I'm afraid those demonic beasts would have long wreaked havoc in the outside world. If we're talking about credit, it's all of us. Duanmu Lin nodded with a smile and looked at Tan Xiu with eyes full of appreciation. At this moment, the way Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng looked at Tan Xiu was completely different from before. They originally thought that Tan Xiu was just a brat who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and was arrogant and unruly just because he had a bit of cultivation. But after getting along with him for a short time, they found that they were wrong before. Not only was Tan Xiu powerful and had many means, but he was also very mature and steady. Even though he had made great contributions, he still maintained a humble attitude and was neither arrogant nor rash. Hun Sen stepped forward and apologetically said, I apologize for my previous attitude toward you, Tan Xiu. Also, I shouldn't have doubted your ability and slandered your arrogance. I hope you can forgive me. There are only a few people in this world who can make me admire them, but you're definitely one of them. Jiang Shuisheng also nodded and said, I may be old, but the gap between me and you is too big, Tan Xiu. I hope you don't mind us judging you by your appearance. Tan Xiu waved his hand and smilingly said, both of you are seniors in the cultivation world. You're able to step forward bravely when our country is in danger. You're worthy of my admiration and I won't blame you for that. Our next mission is to stop the demonic beasts' attack and then go all out to hunt them down and exterminate all the demonic beasts on Earth. That's why we need to cooperate and fight side by side. Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng glanced at each other. They didn't expect Tan Xiu to be so broad-minded. He didn't even care about their previous slandering of him. He's an outstanding talent. Both of them gave Tan Xiu a pertinent evaluation inwardly. Shortly after, Tan Xiu and the others returned to the encampment and all the seriously injured were treated. Tan Xiu quickly gave the list of array layouts to Duanmu Lin and immediately began to heal himself. His injuries were very serious. Even if the power transmitted to his body from the attacks of thousands of demonic beasts was less than 1/10,000th, it was still very terrifying. Fortunately, he cultivated the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, the supreme cultivation art of the demon realm, which mainly focused on body tempering. If he were an ordinary cultivator, even if his cultivation had broken through to the nascent soul stage, he would have been killed by the huge counterforce. The second stage of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, the star's heavenly essence, was also divided into 9 stages, with every 3 stages being a level. Tan Xiu had just broken through to this stage, and his own strength was already extremely powerful. The second stage was not just about tempering his body. While tempering his body, the energy in his dantian would rush out to the outside world and go straight to the sky, resonating with the stars in the universe and activating the star spirit divine ability. However, during the process of Tan Xiu's cultivation, because of the opportunities he encountered, when he was in the first stage of the star's tyrannical body, the universe space formed in his dantian and gave birth to planets. Although those planets were extremely small, they could help Tan Xiu to resonate with the stars in the universe, causing his cultivation speed to skyrocket by 100 times. I've consumed too much chaotic force, my divine sense has been severely damaged, and my internal injuries are very serious. Tan Xiu, who was sitting cross-legged in the military tent, quickly checked his body, and a bitter smile appeared on his handsome face. He knew that his body was in a terrible state, but after careful examination, he found that it was worse than he realized. As a healing sacred pill was stuffed into his mouth, Tan Xiu grabbed 2 demon cores with both hands, slowly closed his eyes and began to absorb and refine them, healing his injuries while replenishing the chaotic force and mental strength he had consumed. 2 hours later, Tan Xiu slowly opened his eyes. To his satisfaction, the effect of the healing sacred pill was good. Most of his internal injuries had healed, and the chaotic force and mental strength he had consumed had also been replenished. Although he hadn't recovered to his peak, it didn't have much impact on his body. Ever since I broke through to the second stage of the star's heavenly essence, I haven't tried to communicate with the hundreds of millions of stars in the universe, nor have I absorbed the star energy into the planet in my dantian. Most importantly, I haven't even activated any star spirit divine ability. In the past, I didn't think it was the right time, so I didn't do it. But now that humanity is in a crisis, I can't delay it any longer. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and instantly released the chaotic force in his body to the outside world. As the surging energy surged into the sky, his divine sense also came out, wrapped around the chaotic force, and rose into the sky. To his surprise, his divine sense, which could only release a few hundred meters at most, turned into thousands of strands after integrating with the chaotic force, and continued to rise all the way up. Universe. Stars. Power. Tan Xiu's divine sense, along with the chaotic force, integrated with the stars, and at the same time, he could feel the power of tens of thousands of stars at the same time. Dead stars, but there's energy. It turns out that whether it's something with vitality or dead things, all of them have energy, but the essence of the energy is different. Dead stars also have energy, and their energy is still useful to me. It seems that the heavenly art of cosmic genesis is really magical. It can contain all kinds of energy and eventually turn it into its own power. Tan Xiu thought silently, and secretly rejoiced that he had obtained a magical cultivation method like the heavenly art of cosmic genesis. Otherwise, on Earth, even if he could barely step into the path of cultivation with his previous cultivation method, his cultivation speed would not be this fast. Moreover, he would not be able to integrate his divine sense into the universe, observe the operation of the universe, and absorb the power of the stars. Huh! Suddenly, Tan Xiu's expression changed, and his body trembled slightly. His divine sense constantly came into contact with the stars in the vast universe, and to his shock, he found that there were still living stars in the distant universe. That's right. He could feel the star's soul of that planet, which was an extremely tenacious vitality, absorbing the energy of the universe while maintaining its life. On that planet, there was a water source, a fire, and even thin oxygen. However, through his analysis, he judged that the concentration of oxygen was very low, and another special gas was very rich. And the life on this planet also absorbed that special gas to ensure that they could reproduce and survive here. It's very far, but I can reach it. Tan Xiu thought of the 3-star vestige in the deep sea. If he could repair the interstellar battleship, he could ride the interstellar battleship and rush to the planet with life in the universe. Chapter 1036. Absorb. Tan Xiu tried to absorb the special energy gas. To his surprise, the absorption was very easy, 100 times easier than absorbing the energy of other dead stars. The special energy gas flowed like a flood through the vast universe and quickly broke through the atmosphere before finally being drawn into his body. Boom! Tan Xiu's body shook violently and a surging aura spread in all directions. In just a few seconds, everyone in the camp was intimidated by the huge aura. Under the huge pressure, the cultivators and the soldiers all retreated to the distance with fear on their faces. Within a minute. There was no one else within a 2-kilometer radius. Everyone was 2 kilometers away, looking at Tan Xiu's direction with shock. Who is it? Duan Mulin asked aloud with a shocked look on his face. Whoosh! 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 Several figures quickly appeared in front of him. Mo Ao, who was the leader, said in a deep voice, Director Duanmu, we just searched for our sect master, but he didn't come out. If my guess is correct, this huge aura should be caused by him. Tan Xiu. Duanmu Lin gulped down and slowly nodded. I should be able to guess that only that brat, Tan Xiu, can cause such a huge scene. But what exactly is he doing? Why is the aura he emits so terrifying? I don't know, either. Mo Ao shook his head. But our sect master's actions have always been beyond everyone's expectations. Director Duanmu, the aura of our sect master is constantly getting stronger, which means that his condition is very good. However, you need to rearrange the things here since I don't know when sect master will end and when this aura will disappear. It's definitely a great thing if Tan Xiu can make another breakthrough. Duanmu Lin nodded heavily. Don't worry. I'll arrange it. Not far away. Hun Sen and Jiang Shuisheng looked shocked as they gathered together and discussed. I've observed. Except for Tan Xiu, almost everyone else has come out of the camp. It seems that the one who can release such a terrifying aura is Tan Xiu. I also noticed it. Tan Xiu, just how powerful was he? Although I haven't seen a nascent soul stage cultivator, I'm guessing that even a nascent soul stage cultivator wouldn't be able to release such a terrifying aura. Probably. However, the stronger Tan Xiu is, the smaller the danger we will face. On the contrary, I hope he can quickly become stronger. Yes, you're right. Their gazes were filled with respect as they looked in the direction of the campsite. Regardless of the era or environment, the strong would always be respected. Time flew by. Tang Xiu didn't know what would happen when he absorbed the living star. He was constantly absorbing the energy of the stars in the starry sky, causing the stars in the universe inside his body to gradually become brighter, as though they were fireflies. Under the infusion of the surging star power, the only planet that had grown was expanding at an extremely fast speed. Every minute and every second, one could see that it was growing. Half an hour. In the depths of the Himalayas, a demonic beast as tall as a 2-story building silently appeared at the blockade line. Just as the countenances of the hundreds of cultivators in charge of the defense line changed dramatically, the terrifying demonic beast stopped in its tracks. With a solemn look in its eyes, it stared fixedly at Ugly Town. It could feel that the terrifying aura was still increasing. Even the owner of the aura was likely stronger than it. No matter who it is, no one can stop Blood Beast King. He's about to wake up, and once he does, this planet will be destroyed. If it weren't for your relentless pursuit, His Majesty wouldn't have let us to flee for our lives and eventually fall into a spatial rift and be swept here. We've been trapped for too long. This damned place is even worse than the immortal world. Also, this damned heaven and earth formation has forcefully trapped us for hundreds of thousands of years, and our powers have been weakened to the limit. Kill our way out, destroy all the living beings here, and set foot on the road back to the demon world. We must kill that damned demon Venerable Qing Tian and let him know the price of offending His Majesty. The terrifying demonic beast threw its head back and roared. After fiercely stomping its foot, heaven and earth shook. The weaker cultivators outside the blockade line were shaken to the point that their qi and blood surged and they bled from 7 mouths. They were nearly killed by the sound wave. After a while, the terrifying demonic beast left and rushed back to the depths of the Himalayas. Ugly Town. Tan Xiu's expression suddenly changed slightly in the military tent. As he opened his eyes, he retracted all the energy he had used to communicate with the stars in the universe, and his figure instantly disappeared from the tent. After a figure that couldn't be seen clearly by the naked eye appeared outside the blockade line, dozens of cultivators who were waiting in formation all fixed their eyes on the newcomer. What a fast speed! Tens of cultivators' complexions drastically changed. They were secretly shocked when they saw that it was Tang Xiu who appeared. Although they had seen Tang Xiu and his men come out of the depths of the mountain range with scars all over their bodies, they didn't know about Tang Xiu's great achievements. However, after the shock, they also showed a bit of surprise, because the terrifying demonic beast just brought them a deep threat of death, which made their hearts fall into an ice cave. And Tang Xiu was so powerful, but it was like a tranquilizer, which made them feel a lot more at ease. Tang Xiu's eyes were like torches, looking into the depths of the mountains with his hands behind his back. Although he didn't see the figure of the terrifying demonic beast, the violent aura made him secretly shocked. He found that the strength of the demonic beast was at least the strength of a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Even if his strength had advanced by leaps and bounds, and he had just linked up with the sun, moon, and stars and absorbed a huge amount of star power, it was likely that he was not the opponent of this terrifying demonic beast. If Yan, and Ji Qimei didn't act, and if the star devourer insect didn't risk the crisis of exposure, I'm afraid I can only kill this terrifying demonic beast by joining forces with Xueyu. Xueyu's cultivation has broken through to the spirit formation stage because of the inheritance. I just don't know how much strength she can exert now after receiving Yan's training. Tang Xiu silently pondered for a moment. He then took out his communicator and dialed Xueyu's cell number. He frowned as a prompt came from the phone saying, "The number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable." "Hello, Xiaoxue." Tang Xiu dialed Gu Xiaoxue's cell number again and called out to her after the call was connected. "It's me, Grand Master," said Gu Xiaoxue respectfully. "What's the matter?" Gu Xiaoxue asked. "Where's Xueyu?" asked Tang Xiu. "She's in seclusion with Master and hasn't appeared for a long time," said Gu Xiaoxue. "She should still be inside the exquisite pagoda." Gu Xiaoxue said, "Go ask her and see how her seclusion is going." Tang Xiu said, "Tell her to call me back if she can." "Understood." Tang Xiu hung up the phone and put it away. He then turned his head to look at the cultivators who were rushing over lightning fast. His eyes finally stopped on Duanmu Lin. "Senior Duanmu." Tang Xiu smiled and nodded. The way Duanmu Lin looked at Tang Xiu was as if he was looking at a monster. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he circled around Tang Xiu a few times and then probed, "Tang Xiu, what level have you broken through to in your current cultivation? Have you broken through to the nascent soul stage?" "I told you before, Senior Duanmu." Tang Xiu said with a smile, "My cultivation technique is different from the average cultivators, so I can't cultivate to the nascent soul stage. But if I were to fight a nascent soul stage expert, I have some assurance that I won't lose. I'm talking about the early stage nascent soul stage. I'm still no match for a late stage nascent soul stage expert." Concealment. This was something Tang Xiu had decided a long time ago, because he needed all the demonic beasts' corpses and the demon cores inside them. Upon hearing this, Duanmu Lin didn't doubt Tang Xiu's words. A pleasantly surprised look appeared on his face as he repeatedly nodded and praised, "Tang Xiu, I heard that your disciple's aptitude is extraordinary. Now it seems that your cultivation talent is also extraordinary. You can have such a big breakthrough in such a short time. It seems that I can't change the promise I made before. Don't worry. I've talked to the other cultivators, and all the demonic beasts' corpses are yours. I've also sent people to send them to the place where your people are stationed." "How many are there in total?" Tang Xiu's expression moved and curiously asked. "Aquababe and the others have done the count. There are 645 of them in total," said Duanmu Lin with a smile. "That's not counting the number of demonic beasts you and your people have killed, 645? Tang Xiu was excited inwardly. The demonic beasts' corpses were simply treasures to him. Whether it was the materials or the demon cores inside them, they were of great help to him. Duanmu Lin suddenly looked at the mountain range and curiously asked, "We just sensed a huge aura coming from the depths of the mountain range. What is it?" Tan Xiu's expression turned solemn and said, "It's that super demonic beast. It's very powerful, much stronger than all the demonic beasts we've encountered before." Duan Mulin's expression suddenly turned ugly and he quickly asked, "How powerful is it?" "You're now comparable to an early-stage nascent soul cultivator. Do you have the confidence to kill it if you fight it?" "Its strength is comparable to a late-stage nascent soul expert." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "It won't fall into a disadvantageous position even if it fights some ordinary early-stage soul formation experts. I'm not its match at all with my current strength, let alone killing it. But I don't understand why it hasn't led all the demonic beasts to attack us despite being so terrifying." Chapter 1037. Duan Mulin's heart sank and his expression turned uglier. After a while, he murmured, "What should we do then? We won't be able to defend if that terrifying demonic beast leads all the other demonic beasts to attack our blockade line. If my guess is correct, the number of demonic beasts in the Himalayas is definitely not as simple as tens of thousands. Maybe there are even more of them." "I think your guess is correct." Tan Xiu forced a smile. "The number of demonic beasts in this mountain range is definitely more than tens of thousands. The Himalayas are too vast, and we have no way to find out how many demonic beasts there are in the depths. But we can be sure that the number of demonic beasts inside should be far more than 10,000. "Do you have any good plan?" asked Duan Mulin. "Can the array you've arranged resist that terrifying demonic beast?" asked Duan Mulin. Tan Xiu nodded. Then, he shook his head and forced a smile. "My array can definitely trap that terrifying demonic beast if there's only one of them. In fact, I might even be able to kill it with the help of the feng shui formation. Unfortunately, there are too many demonic beasts. They may not be very powerful, but they can easily break my array if they join hands with that terrifying demonic beast." Duan Mulin had pinned his hopes on the array that Tan Xiu was about to arrange. But after hearing Tan Xiu's words, a deep sense of powerlessness welled up inside him. What if, even the array couldn't resist those demonic beasts? What should they do then? Were they supposed to fight them head-on? There were so many demonic beasts, and the gap between the number of cultivators and the demonic beasts was too big. They simply couldn't resist them. Tan Xiu was silent for a while and then asked, "Senior Duanmu, I'm afraid you'll need to mobilize all the cultivators in the country. Further, we can't hide this matter anymore. If possible, I hope you can invite foreign cultivators to come back to our country to help us. As far as I know, many cultivation sects have migrated abroad many years ago. We'll have a much easier time resisting those demonic beasts with their help." "Foreign cultivators?" Duan Mulin shook his head with a wry smile and said, "Let's not talk about the fact that I don't know who those foreign cultivation sects are. Even if I know, they may not come back to help. Tan Xiu, there are some things you don't know. After China was established, we purged some of the cultivation forces. Those cultivation sects that left our country probably don't like our country. Of course, those cultivation forces that have been purged are also considered evil forces. Because they have done a lot of things that have angered the heavens, they are targeted by the country." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "As far as I know, there's a Taoist cultivation sect that doesn't have such a situation. It's the elders of their sect who found a blessed land somewhere abroad that's suitable for cultivation, so they moved there. They don't have any ill intentions towards Huaxia." Duan Mulin quickly asked, "Which sects?" "I only know one." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "I don't know the rest. Also, didn't you say that there are many hidden cultivation forces in our country? Since we've reached such a critical juncture, just invite all of them out. The more people we have, the more power we have. Else, if a major crisis occurs, not only will we lose our lives here, but our country will also be plunged into misery and suffering. Tan Xiu, you're in charge of inviting those cultivation sects and see if they can come back to China to help," said Duan Mulin. "I'll contact other cultivation forces and try to get them to come here to help." "All right." Tan Xiu replied and returned to the camp with Mo and the others. Inside the military tent. Tan Xiu took the message charm left by Daoist Zixuan and thought for a moment before immediately activating it. He didn't have much hope at first, but it didn't take long for a message charm to appear in front of Tan Xiu from the distant sky. Tan Xiu, we've been waiting for you on a deserted island near Nine Dragons Island for a long time. Since you've changed the transaction location to near the Himalayas in China, we'll rush there immediately. Don't worry. Since Huaxia is in trouble, we'll help you resist the powerful enemy. A satisfied look appeared on Tan Xiu's handsome face. He secretly nodded and felt that the whole unitary sect was a good choice. At the very least, they were willing to come back to China to help the country resist the demonic beasts in the name of national righteousness. Soon after, Tan Xiu no longer paid attention to the whole unitary sect and Daoist Zixuan's matter as he immersed himself in cultivation again. His injuries were rapidly recovering, and his strength was constantly improving. As he once again communicated with the stars in the universe, he absorbed more and more star power. As a result, the first star in his Dantian universe had already expanded to a diameter of tens of meters. It emitted a strong vitality and boundless energy. 5 times. It's at least 5 times stronger than before. 2 days later, Tan Xiu floated up and felt the huge power surging in his body. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. If he had to resort to various divine abilities to fight against that terrifying demonic beast before, then he was now confident that he could defeat it by relying on his own power. Foundation Establishment Demonic Beasts and Golden Core Demonic Beasts. I can easily kill demonic beasts of such strength if I were to encounter them now. Afterward, Tan Xiu walked out of the military tent with a satisfied smile on his face. But when his eyes swept around, the smile on his face suddenly froze. It was because 200 disciples of the Tang sect were lined up outside the military tent, looking spirited and full of respect. Your injuries have all healed? Asked Tan Xiu as he glanced at everyone. Mo all glanced at Hao Lei and quickly paced a few steps toward Tan Xiu. Then, he respectfully said, Our injuries have healed, Sect Master. We can join the battle at any time. We're now waiting for you to finish your cultivation and distribute the cultivation resources to us. No wonder you're all waiting here. Tan Xiu grinned and said, it turns out you're all thinking about the cultivation resources. Take out the number of demonic beasts you've hunted. I'll distribute them to you after I count them. Understood. Mo all looked happy. After replying, he quickly took out the demonic beasts' corpses from his interspatial ring and placed them in front of Tan Xiu. Not only him, but Jin Shi and Hao Lei also quickly took out the demonic beasts' corpses. Suddenly, the place was piled up with demonic beasts' corpses. You're all very good, said Tan Xiu with satisfaction. You've killed more than 300 demonic beasts in total. Distribute the cultivation resources to the captains. Give them to the captains and let them distribute the rewards according to the merits of killing demonic beasts. Remember, don't be stingy with medicinal pills, weapons, or all kinds of talismans. I told you that you'll be rewarded handsomely as long as you can obtain merits in the battle. At least, you won't face a shortage of resources in the following battles. At last. Tan Xiu's eyes stayed on Hao Lei and he lightly smiled. Aside from Gu Xiaoxue, Gu Yin, Tang Guang, and Tang'an, Hao Lei is the first to break through to the Golden Core stage. I admire her because her aptitude is not the best among us, but her cultivation speed is the fastest. So, take this. Tan Xiu took out 2 jade bottles from his interspatial ring and threw them to Hao Lei, saying, All the promised rewards are in here. I've added some for you. I hope you can continue to work hard and break through to the mid-stage of Golden Core, the late stage of Golden Core, and even the nascent soul stage first. Hao Lei took the 2 jade bottles. After opening them and observing them, she immediately looked pleasantly surprised. Just as she was about to speak, Tan Xiu threw her an interspatial ring, indicating that it was also her reward so that she could use it to store her personal belongings. Thank you, Sect Master. Hao Lei was completely excited because the rewards Tan Xiu gave her were really generous. In particular, the interspatial ring was something she longed for the most. No need to thank me. Tan Xiu waved and said, you deserve it. I told you that outstanding disciples of the sect can get a lot of resources. The more outstanding you are, the more you can get, and the greater your future achievements will be. I need you to compete with each other. Only competition can bring you pressure, and only pressure can give you motivation. What I need are the elites of the elites. I don't need trash. At this moment, all the Tang sect disciples showed their determination to fight for the top. They all clenched their fists and a crazy look flashed in their eyes. Cultivate. Become stronger. Only by becoming the best disciple of the sect could they get more cultivation resources in the future and have greater achievements in the future. Cultivate. This was the common goal of Tan Xiu and the 200 disciples of the Tang sect. They must improve their strength as much as possible before the final crisis arrived. Tan Xiu returned to the tent and directly took out a lot of demon cores. Due to the advancement in his realm, the speed at which he absorbed the demonic power essence inside the demon cores was more than 10 times faster than before. Moreover, he used the monster cores to set up a spirit gathering formation, using a total of 108 monster cores in one go. How extravagant! It was a very extravagant consumption. He didn't dare to try it in the past. Now that he was rich and had 2,000 demon cores in hand, he didn't hesitate to use them as long as he could quickly improve his cultivation. The world's spiritual qi is so rich. How come the concentration of the spiritual qi increased so much? It's strange. All the Tang sect disciples in the surrounding tents looked surprised. When they came out of their tents, they immediately found that the world's spiritual qi from all directions was rushing toward Tan Xiu's tent like a tide. In a flash, they realized that it was Sect Master Tan Xiu who caused this. This is an opportunity. Cultivating in such an environment with rich spiritual qi can speed up several times. A Tang sect disciple muttered to himself thoughtfully. Chapter 1038. The Tang sect disciple's voice was heard by many people in the surroundings. Their eyes immediately lit up and they went into their tents to absorb the world's spiritual energy. The high concentration of spiritual energy was a good opportunity for them. Although Tan Xiu absorbed the world's spiritual energy from the surroundings, they could seize this opportunity to speed up their cultivation. Sure enough. Their cultivation speed was several times faster than before in this environment where the world's spiritual energy was particularly rich. One of the Tang sect disciples even reached the critical point of breaking through. After swallowing a medicinal pill, he absorbed the world's spiritual energy while refining the medicinal efficacy. Finally, after half a day, he successfully broke through and became an expert at the mid-stage of foundation establishment stage. Night fell. The cold wind howled from the depths of the Himalayas. Many cultivators wore a lot more clothes, and their hands holding the ice-cold weapons slightly loosened. Attention, everyone on the western front. There are demonic beasts rushing toward your direction. They should be preparing to launch a sneak attack. There's not a lot of them, only about 100. Damn it, something's not right. Attention, everyone on the western front. A large number of demonic beasts are rushing toward your direction. They're more than 10 kilometers away from you. God damn it, there's a lot of them, at least 1,000. In the military tent where the monitoring station was located, the members of the Special Abilities Bureau, who originally had a relaxed expression, suddenly straightened up and shouted with an anxious look on their faces. At this moment, nearly 100 cultivators on the western front heard the voice of the monitoring member through their walkie-talkies. They got up one after another, grabbed their weapons and waited for the arrival of the demonic beasts as though they were facing a formidable enemy. Tan Xiu, we need your help. There are too many demonic beasts and they're rushing to the western front. Tan Xiu, who was sitting cross-legged in cultivation, suddenly heard Duanmu Lin's voice from the communicator. Immediately, his eyes opened and his body floated up. After dashing out of the military tent, he shouted, "All Tang sect disciples, heed my order. Immediately rush to the Western Front and prepare to support them." Whoosh! 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 Figures flashed out of the military tents one after another. They exuded powerful auras and quickly lined up. "Let's go." Tan Xiao no longer stayed. There was a distance of more than 10 kilometers from the camp to the Western Front, so he must hurry up and rush there to fight side by side with the Western Front defense personnel. Kill! 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 By the time Tan Xiao and the others arrived, Duanmu Lin and the experts of the Special Abilities Bureau had joined forces with the cultivators of the Western Front to fight the demonic beasts that rushed out. However, the strength of the Special Abilities Bureau's experts was generally very weak. Although they had an endless variety of special abilities, they were still retreating under the attacks of the demonic beasts. There were more than 1,000 magical beasts. Among them, there were more than 30 Golden Core stage magical beasts and hundreds of other flying magical beasts. In just a few minutes of fighting, the Special Abilities Bureau and the cultivators on the Western Front suffered some losses. Tan Xiao's figure soared into the sky. As the divine sword was instantly taken out, it whistled as it pounced toward the bird-type magical beasts in the sky. The layers of sword shadows were as fast as shooting stars. It was as if the space barrier had been torn apart, and the formation of hundreds of bird-type magical beasts was disrupted. Go to hell. After a short attack, Tang Xiao immediately locked on 6 or 7 bird-type demonic beasts with the strength of Golden Core stage. Silver needles shot out from his hand and shot toward their eyes. Lightning bolts appeared out of thin air and struck these bird-type demonic beasts. It was a paralyzing effect. This was the best attack effect of lightning. The moment the bird-type magical beasts' bodies turned stiff, more than a dozen silver needles pierced the eyes of 4 Golden Core bird-type magical beasts. The moment they were blinded, the divine sword turned into a long rainbow and fiercely slashed the bird-type magical beasts. They disintegrated. They were instantly killed. Dozens of late-stage Foundation establishment experts of the Tang sect soared into the sky and rushed into the crowd of bird-type magical beasts with Tan Xiao. Even if they didn't know too many magical spells, they could still cast some simple spells. With the help of the immortal sword, they immediately threw the hundreds of magical beasts into chaos. Down below, more than 100 disciples of the Tang sect formed a sword formation and whizzed into the crowd of demonic beasts. Their original injuries had healed and their strength had also improved. Therefore, their imposing manner was like a rainbow as they directly controlled the situation. Go to hell. Guyin brandished the long sword in her hand and her figure constantly flashed through the crowd of demonic beasts. Every slash of her sword left a bloody wound on the body of a demonic beast. Bastards from the immortal world. A late-stage Golden Core demonic beast, who was also the commander of these demonic beasts, looked fearful when it saw many humans unleashing their immortal swords. If it was in the past, it wouldn't even be afraid of ordinary immortals from the immortal world and could directly kill them. But now, its strength was not as good as before and only had 1,000th of its former strength. Even if an immortal appeared now, it would be able to slaughter them all. Boom! 2 cultivators besieging it were blasted away and one of them even had his arm torn off. The fear on its face quickly faded away because it found that the people using the immortal swords were very weak. They were not immortals, and their strength was even weaker than itself. Having seen through this, it was immediately overjoyed and continued to rush toward those humans. Get lost. Gu Yin's speed was very fast. But the late-stage Golden Core demonic beast that had severely injured or killed 10 ability users and cultivators in just a few minutes appeared behind Gu Yin. Its sharp claws swept across Gu Yin's shoulder and directly tore off a piece of flesh from her shoulder. Bastard! Mo had been around Gu Yin all this time. He knew Gu Yin's position in Tan Xiao's heart. He also knew that Tan Xiao also fancied Mu Qingping. If Gu Yin were to die here, it would make Tan Xiao and Mu Qingping grieve. Too fast. Mo's face revealed a crazed look. But the gap in strength was too big. Even if he burst out with his full speed, he still couldn't help Guin block the attack of the late-stage golden core demonic beast. Lightning bead curtain. Guin endured the pain in her shoulder and rushed toward Mo while shouting in a tender voice. She was no longer a rookie without actual combat experience, though she was not much stronger than a rookie. Weak lightning bolts joined together to block the late-stage golden core demonic beast. Then, she dashed to Mo's side and shouted, "Uncle Ao, I can't beat this demonic beast. It's too powerful. Run if you can't beat it." Mo shouted fiercely. "Hao Lei, Jin Shi, come and join me to deal with it. Kill! Kill!" Hao Lei and Jin Shi slashed many demonic beasts along the way and dashed to Mo and Guin in a flash. Although Jin Shi and Mo had yet to break through to the golden core stage, they had reached the late stage of foundation establishment. The four of them joined forces and were barely able to resist the golden core stage demonic beast's attack. At this moment, dozens of cultivators came from the distance at lightning speed. The leader was a man with a long sword on his back. After dashing to the edge of the battlefield, he shouted, "Join the battle and kill the demonic beast." In the air, Tan Xiao was crazily slaughtering the bird-type demonic beasts while also observing the battle situation below. When he saw Daoist Zixuan of the whole unitary sect leading dozens of cultivators, he immediately felt relieved. Daoist Zixuan was a golden core stage expert. Among the people she brought, there were also 10 experts who exuded the aura of golden core stage. The others also had the strength of foundation establishment stage. Die, evil beast. Daoist Zixuan's first target was the late-stage golden core demonic beast that was fiercely attacking Mo, Guin, Jin Shi, and Hao Lei. Heavenly lightning bolts crashed down and directly forced the demonic beast to switch from offense to defense. Sword lights bloomed like flowers. Blooming sword shadows instantly enveloped the demonic beast. At this moment, Hao Lei suddenly let out a long roar and the immortal sword in her hand slashed the demonic beast without mercy. Roar! Bloody wounds appeared on the late-stage golden core demonic beast's body. Although the injury wasn't very serious, it also noticed that the woman who had just arrived was too terrifying. Therefore, it no longer wanted to continue fighting. Watching its companions being killed one by one, it suddenly let out a long roar and turned around to flee into the depths of the mountain range. In the air, Tan Xiao had hunted and killed dozens of bird-type demonic beasts. The others also joined hands and killed dozens of them. As the late-stage golden core demonic beast roared, the rest of the bird-type demonic beasts immediately fled into the depths of the mountain range. Pursuit. The pursuit only lasted for about 10 kilometers, but dozens of demonic beasts' bodies were left behind. After the battle, about 300 to 400 demonic beasts were killed. However, more than a dozen ability users and other cultivators from the Special Abilities Bureau also died in the battle. As for the wounded, almost all of them were injured. Daoist Tang. A faint smile hung on Daoist Zixuan's face as she came before Tan Xiao and bowed with cupped fists. After returning the greeting, Tan Xiao smiled and said, "It's all thanks to Daoist Zixuan leading a large team. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for us to repel those demonic beasts so easily, let alone have such a good result." "It's what we should do," said Daoist Zixuan with a smile. "I just didn't expect that so many demonic beasts would appear in the Himalayas." Daoist Tang, can you tell me if these demonic beasts are from another world? If my guess is correct, they should be from the demon realm. Tan Xiao nodded. But I have no idea how they came here. The smile on Daoist Zixuan's face receded and she said, "It's recorded in the ancient records of our sect, but I didn't expect that demonic beasts from the demon realm would really appear here." Tan Xiao, could it be that there's a passage between here and the demon realm, so these demonic beasts appeared here? Chapter 1039. Tan Xiao pondered over the issue raised by Daoist Zixuan. Based on the stability of Earth's space, he felt that there shouldn't be a space passage between the demon realm and Earth. Otherwise, countless demonic beasts would have rushed out of the Himalayas and even occupied the entire earth. The Diablo Precantator Clan. Such a powerful clan with tens of millions of Diablo Precantator experts were imprisoned on Earth, unable to leave. Even if those demonic beasts were very powerful, it was impossible for them to be more powerful than the Diablo Precantator clan. Furthermore, only demonic beasts appeared in the Himalayas, not demons. Tan Xiu speculated that it was very likely that the demonic beasts here were also imprisoned on Earth. It was even possible that those demonic beasts couldn't rush out of the Himalayas. It was only recently that there was a problem with the array sealing this place that caused them to appear outside the Himalayas and cause the deaths of a lot of people. There's no way to find out the specific reason. The depths of the Himalayas are now a forbidden area for us humans. Even I can't go deep into the nest of those demonic beasts and find out what's going on inside, said Tan Xiu helplessly. Daoist Zixuan nodded without a word. She then turned to look at the messy scene and said, "Let's talk in private. The deal we discussed before should still be valid, right?" "Of course it's still valid." Tan Xiu nodded. The disciples of the whole unitary sect walk the righteous path of the human world, so what I said is naturally still valid. Besides, we're just seeking our own needs and striving to make progress together to become stronger. A smile appeared on Daoist Zixuan's face. She was very satisfied with Tan Xiu's attitude. She could also hear the definition of righteous path from Tan Xiu's words. If Tan Xiu had evil intentions, she wouldn't have made a deal with Tan Xiu even if she could get a lot of things that were beneficial to her sect. She didn't want her sect's things to fall into the hands of evil people and help the wicked. Tan Xiu raised his hand to interrupt Daoist Zixuan. He glanced behind her and said in a low voice, "Let's not talk about our deal for the time being. The person in charge of guarding this place is here. I'll introduce you to him first." Upon hearing this, Daoist Zixuan turned her head and looked behind her. When she saw Duanmu Lin rushing over with several experts from the Special Abilities Bureau, she nodded slightly. The deal between the whole unitary sect and Tan Xiu didn't want outsiders to know about it, even if Duanmu Lin was an official of China. Duanmu Lin came to the front of Tan Xiu and Daoist Zixuan. After observing Daoist Zixuan for a while, he spoke with a bit of respect on his face. "Thank you for your help, everyone. Had it not been for your timely arrival, I'm afraid our losses would have been much greater. I'm Duanmu Lin, the director of China's Special Abilities Bureau. Unitary Sect's Daoist Zixuan." Daoist Zixuan nodded slightly and said simply, "Senior Duanmu, this is Daoist Zixuan from a foreign cultivation sect I told you about," said Tan Xiu with a smile. "She received my invitation and came to China in a hurry." "You're right. If it weren't for the timely arrival of our fellow Taoists from the whole unitary sect, I'm afraid we would have had to pay a heavy price even if we managed to repel thousands of demonic beasts. The whole unitary sect is indeed worthy to be called a righteous sect." Duanmu Lin sighed. "You're truly worthy of our respect. Even though you're abroad, you still care about our country. I've just witnessed the strength of the whole unitary sect. You're very powerful, and even that terrifying demonic beast was severely injured by Daoist Zixuan. I'll immediately send someone to arrange a camp and daily necessities for you." "You're too polite, Director Duanmu. We'll stay with Tan Xiu for the time being," said Daoist Zixuan. "He's also a cultivator, and I need to consult him about many things regarding cultivation." Duanmu Lin's expression moved and he nodded. "No problem. I'll immediately send someone to arrange your camp near Tan Xiu's place. This way, it'll be convenient for you to discuss cultivation matters. Tan Xiu, arrange your people to clean up the demonic beasts' corpses. I promised you that all the demonic beasts' corpses will be yours. I'm a man of my word." "Thank you, Senior Duanmu," said Tan Xiu with a smile. Duanmu Lin let out a faint smile. Although more than 20 humans had died in the battle just now, he was still very satisfied with the result. Not only were they able to resist such a large-scale demonic beast attack, but they also successfully killed hundreds of demonic beasts and forced them to retreat. It was beyond his expectations. After a short while, after Duanmu Lin left, Daoist Zixuan looked at Tan Xiu and asked, Duanmu Lin just said that he'll give you all the demonic beasts' corpses? What do you want them for? Some materials from demonic beasts are helpful for my cultivation, said Tan Xiu with a faint smile. I can collect them and use them as materials to concoct medicinal pills. They can also be used to refine artifacts to refine better divine weapons. Admiration was written all over Daoist Zixuan's face. She knew that Tan Xiu was proficient in alchemy and also knew that Tan Xiu knew how to refine artifacts. But she didn't expect that he could also use demonic beasts' corpses. Daoist Tang, let's hurry up and trade. We brought a lot of resources this time. I'm sure you'll be satisfied with them. Daoist Zixuan was a bit impatient since she wanted to get the things in Tan Xiu's hands as soon as possible. Tan Xiu nodded slightly in response. He then looked at the Tang sect's disciples who were cleaning up the demonic beasts' corpses. Then, he waved to Hao Lei, who was not far away. After she came over, he said, take everyone back to the camp after you're done cleaning up the demonic beasts' corpses. I've also fulfilled the promise I made before. Hao Lei's expression moved and a bit of expectation appeared in her eyes. Many of Tan Xiu's previous promises had been fulfilled, such as giving her a lot of cultivation resources. The only thing left was to become the sect's first commander. Understood. Hao Lei replied and subconsciously glanced at Mo, Jinshi, and the others not far away. She was perfectly aware that Mo and Jinshi were Tan Xiu's confidants. They had been following Tan Xiu around for a long time. She hadn't been in contact with Tan Xiu for a long time, much less than Qinan. However, as long as she became the future commander of the Legion, her status would be completely different. Her status would be higher than Mo and Jinshi. Shortly after, Tan Xiu and Daoist Zixuan saw the camp where the Tang sect's disciples were staying. After entering the tent, Tan Xiu directly handed the cultivation technique that could allow one to cultivate up to the Great Ascension stage to Daoist Zixuan and smilingly said, you can take a look at the contents of this cultivation technique. The immortal sword is also in my interspatial ring. However, I need to appraise the amount of resources you brought. I'll definitely be able to satisfy you if it's enough. Excitement could be seen on Daoist Zixuan's face. Even her Dao heart was faintly shaken. After receiving the cultivation technique, she looked at Tan Xiu and asked, aren't you afraid that I won't give you the cultivation resources after reading this cultivation technique? Tan Xiu shook his head and smilingly said, I believe you. I also believe that no one in this world dares to renege on their debt to me, Tan Xiu. After all, you must have more trump cards if you want to become stronger, right? Trump cards? More trump cards. Daoist Zixuan shot a deep look at Tan Xiu. She then opened the ancient scripture and calmly read it. After reading it for just 10 minutes, she was full of excitement and repeatedly nodded. That's right. I'll definitely be able to reach the Great Ascension stage if I cultivate according to this cultivation technique. Daoist Tang, you're a man of integrity. It's really a pleasure doing business with you. This bracelet was left behind by our whole unitary sect's ancestor. All the cultivation resources we brought this time are inside it. Tan Xiu nodded in response. After calling Hao Lei, Mo, and Jinshi, he watched Daoist Zixuan take out a lot of cultivation resources from the interspatial jade bracelet. Inspection. Statistics. It took nearly an hour for all the cultivation resources brought by Daoist Zixuan to be sorted out. Tan Xiu was very excited even though he didn't show it on his face. The cultivation resources brought by the whole unitary sect this time were much more than what he had imagined. There were even many precious ores that he didn't expect before. Deal. Tan Xiu took out an immortal sword again and directly handed it to Daoist Zixuan. Although the resources your whole unitary sect brought this time are not much, you're willing to stay and help Huaxia kill demonic beasts. So I'm willing to trade with you. As a matter of fact, in the immortal world, the resources brought by Daoist Zixuan were far from enough to exchange for an immortal sword. But this was Earth. What Tan Xiu needed the most was not an immortal sword, but a lot of cultivation resources. He needed cultivation resources, and the cultivators he trained were even more in need of them. Therefore, the deal seemed to be a bit disadvantageous for him, but Tan Xiu was very satisfied. The excitement on Daoist Zixuan's face turned more intense after receiving the immortal sword. She and the elders of the whole unitary sect didn't expect Tan Xiu to really trade an immortal sword for them since they all knew the value of an immortal sword. Thank you, Daoist Tang. Daoist Zixuan looked a bit grateful and solemn. We're going to be comrades fighting side by side. Tan Xiu shook his head and smilingly said, I'll give this immortal sword to you to increase your combat power. Also, I don't have any immortal swords or cultivation manuals here, but I still have some other good things. I believe your whole unitary sect will be interested in them. Such as? Daoist Zixuan's expression moved and she hurriedly asked. Such as combat skills and secret arts. Tan Xiu chuckled. Do you want to get the thunder art I use? Do you also want to get the many magical arts and divine abilities I know? Also, don't you want an interspatial ring? Or other things useful to cultivators? Don't you want them? Daoist Zixuan stared blankly at Tan Xiu. Suddenly, she had a feeling that the person standing in front of her was not a human, but a treasure trove. What kind of relics did he find? What kind of inheritance did he get? How come the things he obtained were more than what the whole unitary sect had accumulated for so many years? Moreover, it was an astronomical number. Chapter 1040. After the transaction was completed, Tan Xiu watched Daoist Zixuan leave. Then, he immediately looked at Jin Shi and said in a deep voice, immediately send these cultivation resources back to Nine Dragons Island and give them to Ji Qimei. Tell her to go all out to refine pills. If she doesn't have time to do so, then I'll refine them myself after I'm done with the matters here. I'll set off right away. Jin Shi nodded. Pay attention to your safety on the way and try not to let any cultivators find your trail, said Tan Xiu. I have another task for you after you send the pills to Nine Dragons Island. What task? Asked Jin Shi. I'll need a lot of common ores such as steel, gold, and silver if I want to refine artifacts, said Tan Xiu. You'll be responsible for buying these things. Tell Xiaoxue that I have a financial problem and don't have much money in a short time. Ask her how much money she has and tell her to buy the materials I need for refining artifacts. I'll pass your message to her, said Jin Shi with a solemn expression. Tan Xiu watched Jin Shi leave. Then, he looked at Hao Lei and said in a deep voice, You're the Tang Sect's guardian elder from today onward. Your annual resource allocation will be doubled. You'll be eligible to participate in the sect's major events in the future. Hao Lei was pleasantly surprised. Although she had long been ready to be promoted, she didn't expect that Tan Xiu would directly promote her to an elder of the Tang sect. This status alone was enough to make Mo, Jin Shi, and the others speechless. At the side, Mo looked envious. He also wanted to be the Tang sect's guardian elder, but he couldn't break through to the golden core stage, which made him extremely distressed. Tan Xiu glanced at Mo and calmly said, I'll give you 6 elder slots. Whether you can become one of the first 6 disciples to break through to the golden core stage will depend on your ability. Go and inform everyone that Hao Lei has become the Tang sect's guardian elder. Understood. Mo respectfully nodded and quickly left the tent. Tan Xiu shifted to Hao Lei and nodded with satisfaction. I've thought about many people and thought that they would be the first to break through to the golden core stage, but I didn't expect it to be you. Hao Lei, the path of cultivation is all about talent and resources, but it's also about opportunities. I don't care what kind of opportunity you have, but you just need to remember one thing. You're a member of Tang's sect when you're alive, and you'll be a ghost of Tang's sect when you're dead. The only ones who will treat you as one of us in the future are me and the others from Tang's sect. Hao Lei respectfully said, Sect Master, I will always remember your teachings. Tan Xiu nodded and said with a smile, Go. Cultivate well, breaking through to the golden core stage is just the beginning. I hope that you can also become the first expert to break through to the nascent soul stage. Original infant stage. A resolute look appeared in Hao Lei's eyes as she replied in a deep voice, Sovereign, I'll definitely double my efforts. Soon after, the matter of Hao Lei becoming the Tang sect's guardian elder was made known to all the disciples of the Tang sect. Strong envy and admiration were born in the hearts of the others, and at the same time, they also developed a bit of respect for Hao Lei. They were well aware of Tan Xiu's way of using people. When a powerhouse stood out, whether it was in terms of status or rewards in terms of resources, it was something that others could not compare to. Golden Core Stage. It was a stage that other disciples of the Tang sect dreamed of breaking through, but Hao Lei was the first to do so. Further, Tan Xiu also promised that the first 6 disciples to break through to the Golden Core stage would become the Guardian Elder. This news aroused everyone's fighting spirit. 2 days later, Tan Xiu, who was silently cultivating in the military tent, was suddenly interrupted by the ringtone of his communicator. He grabbed it and saw the caller's number on the screen. A bit of killing intent immediately appeared on his face as he picked up the call and asked in a deep voice, Senior Duanmu, are there any large-scale demonic beasts about to attack the blockade line? There's no sign of demonic beasts attacking, Tan Xiu. It's just that I've invited a lot of cultivators, many of whom are very powerful. I want to call you over to get to know them. Duanmu Lin's laughter came from the communicator. Apparently, he was in a very good mood at the moment. Tan Xiu was silent for a moment and then said, I'm at a critical juncture in my cultivation, Senior Duanmu, so I don't have much time to waste. If you want to get to know them, you can do it later when you're fighting the demonic beasts. I won't go there now. Duanmu Lin hesitated for a while and then forced a smile. All right. Forget it since you don't want to be disturbed in your cultivation. I just praised you in front of everyone, so many people will regret it if you don't come. Hee hee. Tan Xiu chuckled and hung up the communicator. Half an hour later. A cold wind blew and the bustling noises outside the military tent directly affected Tan Xiu's cultivation. When he floated up and appeared outside the tent, he saw more than a dozen strangers standing outside the encampment. Several Tang sect disciples were confronting them as though they were facing a formidable foe. What's going on here? Tan Xiu strode over and looked at the dozen people in front of him. Then, he turned his head and asked. They said they want to see you, but their attitude is really bad, said Mo in a deep voice. Especially this brat in front. He's so arrogant and rude. Tan Xiu shifted to the youth in the lead and frowned. Everyone, this is our Tang sect's encampment. Please don't disturb us if there's nothing urgent. Also, this one, we don't seem to know each other, no? I don't think I've offended you, so why are you being rude? The youth was dressed in white and had a casual and elegant appearance, especially the arrogant look on his face. His eyes slightly raised when he looked at Tan Xiu. Are you Tan Xiu? That's right. I'm Tan Xiu, said Tan Xiu indifferently. May I know who you are, Miao Region? The youth sneered. I'm Bai Yuheng, the young lord of the Bai clan in the Miao region. Blind ancestor is old and muddle-headed, yet she entrusted Shuiyu to you. I've sent some people to investigate your information. You're the magnificent Tang Corporation's big boss, the Tang family's young master in the imperial capital, and also a famous young divine doctor. But I'll tell you that your identity is worthless in my eyes. Tan Xiu's face turned cold and he said in a deep voice, since you call blind ancestor, don't you know how bad it is to insult an ancestor? Who I am is none of your business. What I can see now is that you seem to have come here to provoke me. You're right. This young lord came here to provoke you. Bai Yuheng sneered. I asked Duanmu Lin to call you over today, but you made all sorts of excuses and said that you're cultivating. Don't think that I haven't investigated you. You may be a cultivator and everyone calls you an expert, but in my opinion, you're nothing compared to me. Stay away from Shuiyu if you know what's good for you. She's not someone you can touch. Are you provoking me because of Shuiyu? Asked Tan Xiu in a deep voice. Bai Yuheng flicked the fan in his hand and gave Tan Xiu a look that said, "You're not stupid yet." That's right. It's because of Shuiyu. Rumor has it that Shuiyu is the most beautiful woman in our Miao region, so she can only be my woman. And you're not worthy of her. Whether I'm worthy of her or not is not something you can comment on. Tan Xiu sneered. Let me tell you, Shuiyu is my woman now, and she will be in the future. So don't blame me for tidying you up if you dare to have any improper thoughts toward her. Bai Yuheng glanced around and then burst into laughter. Tidying me up? Ha ha ha, that's the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. You're Tan Xiu, right? With just you. Do you think you can tidy me up with your men who only know a little bit of martial arts? My Bai clan has a lot of people and experts. We used to be low-key and forbearing because we didn't want to be noticed by others. But now that we've left the Miao region and come here to help resist the demonic beasts, we don't need to be low-key anymore, do we? Come on, let me see what you've got. Young lord. A burly man paced 2 steps forward and said in a low voice, Young lord, the patriarch ordered us not to cause trouble here. If you want to tidy up some people, you don't have to deal with him directly. We're here to exterminate the demonic beasts. Let him know how big the gap between you and him is, then he'll obediently give up Jade Beauty. Bai Yuheng gave it a thought and felt that what his man said made sense. He immediately shot a provocative look at Tan Xiu and loudly said, Do you dare to bet with me, brat surnamed Tang? What do you want to bet? Tan Xiu sneered. Let's bet on the number of demonic beasts we can kill. Bai Yuheng grinned and said, If I and my men kill more demonic beasts than you, you'll give up Shuiyu and stay far away from her later. What if I win? Asked Tan Xiu. Bai Yuheng said with disdain, Win? You can't win. Tan Xiu indifferently said, Since we're going to bet, then we must have a fair stake. If I win, will you never see Shuiyu again in this life? Or will you immediately avoid me when you see me in the future? An angry look appeared on Bai Yuheng's face as he loudly said, All right, I promise you. But I have an additional condition. If I win, not only will you stay away from Shuiyu, but you must also kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times to show that you're inferior to me. Tan Xiu squinted his eyes and coldly snorted. Since you have an additional condition, then I also have one. If I win, all the demonic beasts you kill will be mine, and you and I will enter the depths of the Himalayas to hunt 10 demonic beasts alone. Bai Yuheng rolled his eyes and loudly said, It's a deal. I give you my word. Since you've agreed, then get the hell out of here, said Tan Xiu indifferently. Let's meet at the blockade line early tomorrow morning. Bai Yuheng clenched his fists and stared at Tan Xiu. No one has ever dared to speak to me with such a tone in my life. You're the first one, and I believe you'll be the last one. Tang brat, I'll make you regret talking to me with such an attitude and offending me. You're not a man if you only take advantage of me with your mouth. Tan Xiu sneered. Let's see who can laugh in the end. The Bai clan. I hope you don't disgrace your family and bring disaster to them. Chapter 1041. In front of the tent, Tan Xiu watched Bai Yuheng and his men leave. Then, he immediately turned to look at Mo and said in a deep voice, Pass down the order to be vigilant. That Bai brat is not a good person. He may not be strong, but he has a lot of bad intentions. Why didn't we just kill them directly, sect master? Asked Mo. Our country is in dire need of manpower now. Be it Bai Yuheng or his clansmen, none of them are weak, said Tan Xiu lightly. Especially those 2 old geezers behind him. Even if they are not as strong as Golden Core stage cultivators, I'm afraid they are comparable to late-stage foundation establishment experts. Killing them would be a waste of cannon fodder. It's better to let them fight the demonic beasts and die in their hands. Mo suddenly understood and nodded with a smile. You're right, Sect Master. They're going to die anyway, so it's better for them to help us kill some demonic beasts. I'll immediately pass down the order to capture them if they dare to play dirty tricks on us. After returning to the military tent, Tan Xiu immediately took out his communicator and dialed Gu Xiaoshue's cell number. After the call was connected, he asked, "How's Shueyu's situation? Has she come out of seclusion yet?" "I personally went to see Master, Grand Master," said Gu Xiaoshue. "She said she doesn't know when Shueyu will come out. It's because there's no way to break the demon horde array from the inside and come out if we can't kill all the demonic beasts inside it." Tan Xiu was secretly startled and asked in astonishment, "Yen, actually arranged the demon horde array?" Gu Xiaoshue said, "Yes." Xiaoshue originally wanted to enter the demon horde array to gain experience, but Master said the array is very powerful. Even golden core stage experts will die inside. Only nascent soul stage experts can have a chance to survive inside. Tell Yen, to immediately rush back to China once Shueyu comes out of seclusion. Tan Xiu nodded. "I'll wait for her in the country." "Understood." Gu Xiaoshue replied respectfully. Tan Xiu ended the call and revealed a thoughtful expression. The Horde Demon formation was a formation that was extremely suitable for training. In the immortal dimension, many sects would set up Horde Demon formations of various sizes and strengths to train their disciples. For Gu Yen, to arrange the Horde of Devils array for Shueyu, it seemed that she really put in a lot of effort. The next day. In the evening, Duanmu Lin sent a message to inform Tan Xiu that a group of demonic beasts had appeared. However, the strange thing was that the demonic beasts did not immediately attack the blockade. Instead, they stopped 5 or 6 kilometers away from the blockade, as if they were waiting for something. Very soon. Tan Xiu appeared at the blockade line and found that not only were there many cultivators he had never seen before, but even the young master of the White Clan, Bai Yuheng, had arrived with the experts of the White Clan. Humph. Upon seeing Tan Xiu, Bai Yuheng directly made a throat-slitting gesture and arrogantly raised his head. Tan Xiu was too lazy to pay attention to this guy. After coming to Duanmu Lin's side, he asked, "How many demonic beasts are there, Senior Duanmu?" "More than 260 in total," said Duanmu Lin. "But I just informed you that another group of demonic beasts has appeared. There are also no more than 300 of them, and they're rushing to the periphery. I suspect that these two groups of demonic beasts are the vanguard of the demonic beast army. Could it be that the demonic beasts are preparing to launch a large-scale attack?" "I think it's possible," said Tan Xiu. "We've killed a lot of demonic beasts in the past few days, but they're still fearlessly attacking the blockade line again and again. I think their behavior is to probe our situation. This time, they should feel that they've probed us enough and are preparing to launch a large-scale attack. We can deal with them if the number of demonic beasts is less than 1,000, said Duanmu Lin worriedly. But if there are more than 1,000, I'm afraid it'll be too much for us to handle. You must know that the materials I've sent to find for the array formation haven't been gathered yet, and you haven't arranged a large array in this blockade line. If both sides directly fight, it'll bring us huge losses. Kill as many as you can," said Tan Xiu. "We can't let those demonic beasts rush out of the blockade line even if we all die in battle." "That's right, there's something I've been neglecting. Don't tell me that the demonic beasts in the Himalayas will only go out from this direction. The Himalayas are very big, and our blockade line is only dozens of kilometers long. What if those demonic beasts come out from other places? There are already several army groups that have blockaded the areas within our country's territory. They've even installed monitoring equipment in many special areas, and there are satellites in the sky that are constantly monitoring the situation," said Duanmu Lin helplessly. "Therefore, we haven't found any signs of demonic beasts coming out from other areas for the time being. I suspect that there's a huge array in the depths of the Himalayas, and the exit of this array is our blockade line. Tan Xiao was silent for a moment before he nodded and said, "What you said makes sense. However, we still have to guard against other places. How about we set up a patrol team? In case ordinary people can't find it, cultivators can find it ahead of time. We can't afford to be careless now. I'll arrange it immediately after we repel this demonic beast attack." Duan Mulin nodded. Time ticked by and 4 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Under the dark curtain of the night, cultivators sat cross-legged, quietly waiting for the demonic beast horde to arrive. According to the images sent back by the monitoring equipment, the number of demonic beasts was constantly increasing. Thousands of demonic beasts had gathered 5 to 6 kilometers away. Reporting. "They're moving." Aqua Babe, who was wearing a camouflage uniform, sprinted toward Duan Mulin lightning fast. Duan Mulin's expression changed and he shouted in a deep voice, "Attention, everyone. The demonic beast horde has begun to pounce on us. Get ready for battle." Tan Xiao squinted his eyes and glanced at Hao Lei and the others. After he gestured to her, Hao Lei immediately moved closer to Guyin. A minute or two later, the demonic beast's silhouettes had already appeared in the line of sight of hundreds of people. The searchlights illuminated the surroundings as though it was daytime, and hundreds of cultivators quickly rushed toward the demonic beast horde. Tan Xiao didn't lead the Tang sect's people to act. The 200 people quietly stood at the blockade line, but their auras were rising steadily. Duan Mulin also didn't move. He turned to look at Tan Xiao and said in a deep voice, "I'll leave the bird-type demonic beasts to you later. Those bird-type demonic beasts are very hateful. They hover high in the sky and dive down again and again, causing us to suffer heavy casualties." Tan Xiao looked at the sky ahead and nodded. "I've refined a lot of talismans in the past 2 days. It just so happens that we can let those bird-type demonic beasts taste the feeling of being burned by fire. Let's do it." Duan Mulin slightly nodded. "You should have heard about the bet between me and the Bai clan's young master, right?" Tan Xiao said. "Send someone to count the number of demonic beasts we killed." "No need." Duan Mulin smiled and said, "This area is under surveillance. Every move you make when you hunt demonic beasts will be recorded. I'll count it after the battle is over." "All right then." Tan Xiao replied and immediately gestured to move. The 200 experts of the Tang sect then soared into the sky and quickly rushed toward the bird-type demonic beasts in the sky. Immortal swords formed a sword array and magic swords were like rainbows, instantly disrupting the formation of the bird-type demonic beasts in the sky. "Kill!" Tan Xiao unleashed his divine sword and his figure drifted erratically in the air. Every time he attacked, he would kill a demonic beast. Damned humans! Among the hundreds of bird-type demonic beasts, 10 of them suddenly approached quickly. They didn't target the other Tang sect disciples but flapped their wings and swooped toward Tan Xiao's direction instead. Streaks of light streaked out of their feathers like falling meteors and appeared in front of Tan Xiao in the blink of an eye. Magical spells and divine abilities. Tan Xiao's expression instantly turned solemn. He had killed a lot of bird-type demonic beasts before, and many of them were at the Golden Core stage. But it was his first time encountering bird-type demonic beasts that could cast magical spells and divine abilities. Moreover, what made him secretly surprised was that these 10 bird-type magical beasts all knew magical spells and most importantly, their strength was comparable to that of a Gold Core stage powerhouse. "Are they targeting me?" A cold light flashed in Tan Xiao's eyes. The divine sword instantly slashed toward the 10 incoming bird-type demonic beasts. At the same time, he cast some hand seals and lightning bolts fell from the sky. The arm-thick lightning bolts turned into a sea of thunder and bombarded the demonic beasts. "Commander!" Suddenly, the 10 bird-type demonic beasts uttered a human voice at the same time. In the midst of the roar, a pitch-black demonic beast appeared out of thin air. This demonic beast had 4 pairs of wings and 4 long legs. Most importantly, it had a half-meter-long antenna on top of its head. Roar! A thunderous roar directly exploded in the air. All the Tang sect's early-stage foundation establishment cultivators felt a dull pain in their eardrums and the qi and blood in their bodies were boiling. All the mid-stage and late-stage foundation establishment cultivators also looked uncomfortable. It was obvious that the roar had a great impact on them. A bird-type demonic beast comparable to the nascent soul stage. Tang Xiu's complexion drastically changed. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that there would be bird-type demonic beasts comparable to the nascent soul stage appearing here. Now, he was even more certain that these bird-type demonic beasts had set up a trap for him. Unfortunately, you've underestimated my strength. Tan Xiu remained calm in the face of danger. He cast the divine sword and the hand seals at the same time and successfully blocked the incoming bird-type demonic beast. The moment the 10 golden core stage demonic beasts pounced on him, Tan Xiu immediately grabbed dozens of flame talismans and activated them without hesitation, causing the raging fire to envelop the 10 golden core stage demonic beasts. Since you want to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed. Layers upon layers of sword shadows whistled as they bombarded the demonic beasts. Even as they tried to dodge, the sword shadows still left wounds on their bodies. Bam! A cluster of black flames wrapped a grotesque object and bombarded the divine sword controlled by Tan Xiu. As the demonic beast comparable to a nascent soul stage powerhouse let out a wail, the flames suddenly splashed everywhere. Chapter 1042. The dazzling sky was filled with a strong smell of blood as a fierce battle unfolded amidst the flashes of swords and blades. The murderous Tan Xiu felt a surging force coming at him. Even though his physique was far stronger than those with the same cultivation level, he still couldn't help but tremble a few times. Interesting. Tan Xiu laughed wildly and dashed toward the nascent soul realm demonic beast at lightning speed. The sky was filled with lightning and formed a sea of lightning, causing the demonic beast to let out a shrill scream. The divine sword burst out a 100-meter-long sword shadow that accurately bombarded the demonic beast's body. As blood splashed out, its figure was instantly bombarded hundreds of meters away. Roar, crunch. Crunch. The 10 golden core realm demonic beasts went berserk. They only had one mission this time, and that was to kill the powerful human, Tan Xiu, who had killed many of their companions. However, even their hidden commander was severely injured, which made them extremely furious. It was a nearly suicidal charge as they instantly appeared near Tang Xiu. Their sharp claws and fangs locked onto Tang Xiu without the slightest hesitation during the high-speed impact. You're courting death. Tan Xiu once again conjured a thunder art. As the lightning bolts bombarded down, the divine sword also burst out a bright sword light that swept away everything in its path. Dismember. Kill. Tan Xiu, who had the confidence to fight against a late-stage nascent soul expert, killed all the 10 golden core realm demonic beasts in just a few breaths. He then instantly put the demonic beasts' corpses into his interspatial ring. No one saw that the moment Tan Xiu put away a demonic beast's corpse, his right hand had already blasted into its body and grabbed the fist-sized demon core lightning fast. Although the divine sword was very powerful, it also consumed a lot of his strength. There were still battles waiting for him, so he must restore his consumed strength as soon as possible. Puff, 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 Tan Xiu and the Tang sect's disciples frantically attacked the bird species demonic beasts. What made Tan Xiu furious was that 2 Tang sect's disciples couldn't dodge in time and were hit by several demonic beasts, causing their bodies to fall to the ground. With Tang Xiu's eyesight, he could clearly see that the bodies of the 2 mid-stage foundation establishment Tang sect disciples had yet to fall to the ground and were already dead. On the ground, Bai Yuheng split up to attack the demonic beasts. This was his first time facing a magical beast. Even though he knew in advance that magical beasts were very strong, he never dreamed that they would be this strong. Even a small portion of the magical beasts were stronger than him. If it weren't for the 2 experts of the White Clan protecting him, he would have died several times at the hands of the magical beasts. Where did these damned beasts come from? Bai Yuheng brandished his long sword and pushed back a weaker demonic beast. Then, he raised his head to look at the sky. He clearly saw that Tan Xiu had successfully killed 10 demonic beasts in just a few breaths. After a brief pause, he pounced on a group of bird species demonic beasts and started a massacre. Damn it! How can that bastard be so ridiculously strong? Bai Yuheng's heart felt like it had fallen into an ice cave. He didn't take Tan Xiu seriously before because he was full of jealousy and hatred. Coupled with the fact that he had lived like a prince since childhood and had a transcendent status, he not only went to provoke Tan Xiu but also proposed a bet with him. But now, after witnessing Tan Xiu's killing method and the speed at which his men killed the demonic beasts, he realized that he had lost, a crushing defeat. I can't admit defeat so easily. Maybe that damned bastard will die tragically in the hands of the demonic beasts in the next moment. Shui Yu is mine, and I, Bai Yuheng, will never lose to anyone in my life. Bai Yuheng's eyes were full of unwillingness. But while he was in a daze, 2 demonic beasts had already dashed to his back and left and launched fierce attacks at him. If he was hit, he would probably be killed in an instant. Young master. An old man with a head full of white hair, after forcing back a demonic beast with great difficulty, instantly blocked the attack on Bai Yuheng's back with a determined look on his face. Then, he exerted force with his left arm and directly pushed Bai Yuheng away. Puff! The white-haired old man's back was pierced by a sharp bayonet. The mantis-like demonic beast was born with a strong bayonet. If the white-haired old man hadn't moved fast enough to push Bai Yuheng away, the bayonet would have pierced through his chest and into Bai Yuheng's body. Zhuo Bo. Bai Yuheng's face instantly turned pale, and his eyes burst with disbelief. He never thought that his momentary absent-mindedness would cause his most respected elder to die to save him. The white-haired old man's body crashed to the ground. Although he could feel the vitality in his body rapidly fading away, he still concentrated all his power on his right arm and fiercely swung it upward. Another demonic beast that pounced on him had its abdomen pierced by his bayonet, leaving a bloody wound of more than 10 centimeters long. Young master, stay alive, stay alive. As the white-haired old man's voice faded away, his raised arm fell to the ground and his aura died. It was a fierce battle. Both the human cultivators and the demonic beasts had suffered great losses. Even Tan Xiu, who was comparable to a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, was injured in the fight. Although the injury was not serious, his complexion was still very unsightly. In this battle, the Tang sect lost 4 disciples, 6 were seriously injured and lost their combat power, and the rest were all injured. He broke through. With the end of the battle, only about 500 to 600 demonic beasts fled back to the depths of the Himalayas. Standing in front of the blockade line, Tan Xiu looked at Mo, who was rushing toward him. The latter wiped the bloodstain on his face and nodded. I broke through. I'm at the early stage of Golden Core, but I still need to stabilize my realm. Tan Xiu nodded without a word. He looked at the 4 corpses of the Tang sect's disciples that were being carried and walked forward to collect their souls. He didn't want the disciples who died in the battle to enter samsara and reincarnate again. Every disciple of the Tang sect was a member of the Tang sect, whether alive or dead, a ghost of the Tang sect. Whoosh! A figure flickered lightning fast from a distance and appeared in front of Tan Xiu in the blink of an eye. Daoist Zixuan looked a bit sorrowful as she said, Daoist Tang, can you help me collect the souls of the whole Unitary sect's disciples who died in the battle? How many people from the whole Unitary sect died in the battle? Asked Tan Xiu. 6, answered Daoist Zixuan bitterly. Tan Xiu sighed inwardly and nodded. I'll help you since you've made up your mind. But you have to think about it clearly. You'll have to pay a huge price to resurrect them in the future. Some of them must break through to become an immortal and become a powerhouse in the immortal world. Do you have any secret technique that can allow me to communicate with them? Asked Daoist Zixuan. Yes, but the price will be huge. Tan Xiu nodded. I'm willing to pay no matter how big the price is, said Daoist Zixuan in a deep voice. Tan Xiu taught Taoist Zixuan the spiritual communication art and then said, I'll trade this secret technique to your whole unitary sect in advance. You can use the cultivation resources to repay the debt in the future. All right. Taoist Zixuan nodded with a grateful expression. Shortly after, Tan Xiu collected the souls of the whole unitary sect's disciples who died in the battle and handed them over to Taoist Zixuan. He then ordered the Tang sect's disciples to quickly collect all the demonic beasts' corpses and then return to the camp. The Tang sect had suffered great losses in this battle, so he needed to hurry up and heal the other disciples. The next day, Duanmu Lin came to the camp where the Tang sect's disciples were stationed, followed by Bai Yuheng, who wore an unwilling expression. After yesterday's battle, tens of the White Clan's members had suffered heavy losses. More than a dozen of them died in the battle and the rest were all injured. You won, Tan Xiu. Bai Yuheng's expression was unsightly, but he braced himself and spoke. Tan Xiu shot him an indifferent look and lightly said, Do you still remember the bet between us? Bai Yuheng scowled and said in a deep voice, Tan Xiu, don't go too far. I really want to see you again in the future. We can only become enemies in the future if you really push this matter to the extreme. Duanmu Lin also looked a bit hesitant and said, Tan Xiu, this matter. Tan Xiu was silent for a few seconds and then indifferently said, I won't bicker with you about the previous matter since your White Clan has suffered heavy losses in order to kill the demonic beasts. But remember, don't provoke me in the future and don't pester Shuiyu again. Else, I can't guarantee that your White Clan will also become demonic beasts in my eyes one day. Bai Yuheng shuddered inwardly as he recalled the scene of Tan Xiu slaughtering everyone like a god of war yesterday. Despite his reluctance, he still nodded with a gloomy face and then turned to leave. Duanmu Lin glanced at Bai Yuheng's back and then gratefully looked at Tan Xiu. He forced a smile and said, The White Clan has contributed a lot to our country, after all. Thanks a lot, Tan Xiu. Tan Xiu shook his head and said, This Bai Yuheng may have a bad character, but the White Clan is still very brave. Don't worry about it. I won't pay attention to him as long as he doesn't provoke me before the hidden danger of the demonic beasts is completely eliminated. Duanmu Lin sighed and said, The White Clan is a great clan. They live almost isolated from the rest of the world and are very simple and honest. It's a pity that this young master of the White Clan, Bai Yuheng, has been spoiled since childhood and has developed a bad habit of being arrogant and conceited. This time, the Bai Clan's patriarch unexpectedly sent him to lead the team again. It's a disaster, not a blessing. Tan Xiu shook his head and said, I don't care about this matter as long as he doesn't provoke me. Anyhow, Senior Duanmu, you've sent people to collect the materials for the array. How many of them have you prepared? I'd like to quickly arrange some arrays if possible. Not a lot. After all, the time is too short, said Duanmu Lin hesitantly. Some of the materials we've collected are already on the way here. I'm afraid it will take a few more days for all of them to be delivered. Just use as many as you have. Tan Xiu said. Actually, human cultivators wouldn't have suffered such a big loss if we had arranged the array properly yesterday. Moreover, after yesterday's battle, I have a faint premonition in my heart. What did you find? Asked Duanmu Lin hurriedly. Chapter 1043. Tan Xiu frowned and said, I think those demonic beasts have a purpose in attacking our blockade line after yesterday's battle. I think their purpose is to kill me. Duanmu Lin stared blankly and incredulously said, You said they want to kill you? That's why they launched yesterday's attack. That's right. Tan Xiu nodded. That's the possibility. I clearly observed the battle on the ground. The strongest demonic beast is only at the golden core stage. However, there were only 400 flying-type magical beasts in the sky, but there were 10 gold core stage magical beasts among them. While I was fighting with the 10 gold core stage magical beasts, there was unexpectedly a hidden flying-type magical beast that suddenly launched a sneak attack on me. This hidden bird-type demonic beast is comparable to a nascent soul stage cultivator. What? Duanmu Lin exclaimed, a demonic beast comparable to a nascent soul stage expert appeared? Damn! That super demonic beast hasn't appeared yet, has it? Don't tell me, that super demonic beast is even stronger than a nascent soul stage expert. That's right. Tan Xiu nodded and said, that super demonic beast appeared at the blockade line when I broke through to the next realm. Judging from its aura, it's not a demonic beast comparable to a nascent soul stage cultivator. If my guess is correct, it's probably at the spirit formation stage. Spirit formation stage. Disbelief was written all over Duanmu Lin's face. His heart fell to the bottom after hearing Tan Xiu's speculation. It must be noted that the strongest human cultivator should be Tan Xiu, right? But his strength was only comparable to an early-stage nascent soul stage cultivator. If that super demonic beast's strength was comparable to a spirit formation stage cultivator, then how could human cultivators block its attack? On top of that, there were tens of thousands of demonic beasts. Even if there were a few more of these sealing lines, the demonic beasts would easily break through them and all the cultivators would be slaughtered. Once that happened, it would be the doomsday of mankind. Duanmu Lin and a large number of experts from the Special Abilities Bureau, as well as the Chinese experts, speculated that it would be very difficult to kill even a nascent soul expert with firearms, not even missiles. As for soul formation stage, Duanmu Lin was utterly disheartened by the result of his conjecture. Unless a nuclear bomb was used, it would be impossible to kill a soul formation stage demonic beast. However, even if a nuclear bomb was used, the probability of killing a soul formation stage demonic beast would not exceed 80%. In other words, there was still a 20% chance that it would be impossible. Could it be that the heavens want me dead? Duanmu Lin's lips trembled, and he seemed to have aged more than 10 years. After sensing the change in Duanmu Lin's aura, Tan Xiu immediately said, Senior Duanmu, although I speculate that this super demonic beast can fight against a spirit formation stage powerhouse, it's not like we have no hope at all. I have a trump card that can ensure the safety of the human race, but if I use it, it will bring me great losses. Duanmu Lin's expression drastically changed. He didn't even care about Tan Xiu's losses and hurriedly asked, What trump card do you have? Tan Xiu, tell me, what other trump card do you have? Tan Xiu forced a smile and said, I can't use that trump card unless it's a last resort. As for a soul formation stage demonic beast, it's not completely impossible to kill it. Duanmu Lin hurriedly asked, if you don't use your trump card, will you? Tan Xiu, tell me quickly. What is it? We need to wait for someone. If she can arrive in time, I may not need to use my trump card, said Tan Xiu with a smile. Senior Duanmu, you don't need to ask about the specifics. What we need to do now is to set up a defense and figure out when the demonic beast will attack again. All right. Duanmu Lin suppressed his confusion and left. But in any case, Tan Xiu had given him a reassuring pill. As for the outcome, he believed that Tan Xiu wouldn't take his life as a joke. The following week, the demonic beasts suddenly became very quiet and no demonic beasts appeared outside the blockade line. Even the monitors in the depths of the Himalayas could only occasionally see a few demonic beasts appearing and leaving quickly. However, this situation made everyone realize that this should be the so-called calm before the storm. Following this, once the magical beasts attacked again, it would probably be an all-encompassing attack. Tan Xiu didn't stay idle this week. On one hand, he seized the time to cultivate and improve his strength, while on the other hand, he also taught some secret arts to the Tang sect's disciples so that they could master them quickly. At the same time, he also spent 2 days to quietly set up a feng shui grand array 6 to 7 kilometers inside the blockade line. Furthermore, the array he set up stretched for tens of kilometers. Whether the demonic beasts attacked from the east, the west, or the center line, they would be trapped by the array. In front of the blockade line. Remember, you're in charge of the array, said Tan Xiu with a serious expression. You're in charge of the array, so you must unleash the full power of the array. Unless it's a last resort and your life is hanging by a thread, you must never leave the array's eye. If you want to live longer, you must use the array to kill the demonic beasts. The more demonic beasts you kill, the greater your chance of survival will be. I'll be in charge of controlling a more powerful array. Once the array you control is broken, I'll immediately take over. I hope you won't let me down, and don't let all the cultivators on the blockade line down. Having said that, Tang Xiu's words finally stopped. 8 of them were comparable to Golden Core stage cultivators, while 6 were comparable to late-stage Foundation Establishment stage cultivators. The 14 of them stood straight with their hands clasped behind their backs. They looked firm and resolute as they loudly said, "We won't let Sect Master Tang down, nor will we let anyone down." Tan Xiu slowly nodded and said with satisfaction, "Your names may be recorded in the annals of history and be immortalized in the future. Or maybe you'll only be remembered by the people in the cultivation world, and no one will know about you after we leave. But you'll become heroes, and that's a fact that no one can change. I, Tan Xiu, am looking forward to fighting side by side with all of you." "Fight side by side!" shouted the 14 of them. They were all cultivators, some were Taoist, some were Buddhist, and some were martial artists. In short, they were deeply influenced by Tan Xiu after spending a few days with Tan Xiu. Not only did they have a deep admiration for Tan Xiu, but they also developed a warrior's attitude and momentum. Time fleeted by. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Inside the military tent, Tan Xiu sat cross-legged and silently communicated with the stars in the universe, continuously absorbing the power of the stars in the universe and transforming it for his own use. At the same time, Tan Xiu also absorbed all the demonic power in the spirit-gathering array he arranged with 108 demon cores, and the array automatically dissipated. The heavenly art of cosmic genesis is indeed worthy to be the top cultivation art created by the demon god. My cultivation speed is really incredible. How long has it been? My strength has actually increased by another fold. I'm confident that I can successfully kill a late-stage nascent soul expert now. But, if I encounter a powerful enemy at the spirit formation stage, I can barely put up a fight, but it's hard to say whether I'll win or lose in the end. Tan Xiu floated up. Just as he walked out of the tent, he saw Xue Sha and He Xiong standing straight and waiting outside. Many of the Tang sect's disciples in the surroundings cast envious looks at him. "You guys," just as Tan Xiu spoke, he immediately sensed the aura released by the 2 men. A satisfied smile immediately appeared on his handsome face as he nodded and said, "Very good. You guys are really good. I didn't expect you to be the 2nd and 3rd disciples to break through to the Golden Core stage. I hereby announce that you've been promoted to Guardian Elders of the Tang sect. You can find Mo all later and he'll give you the rewards." Xue Sha and He Xiong exchanged glances. Although they had long expected that they would be promoted to Guardian Elders of the Tang sect and that they would receive generous rewards, they were still very excited after hearing the confirmation from Sect Master Tan Xiu. "Sect Master." Mo all floated up and respectfully came before Tan Xiu. "Give them the rewards to celebrate their breakthrough to the Golden Core stage," said Tan Xiu. "Further, they'll be the elders of the Tang sect in the future. You're the first 4 elders to break through, so you can discuss it with them later." "Understood." Mo all smiled and nodded to Xue Sha and He Xiong. Then, he looked at Tan Xiu again and said, "Sect Master, I just got the news that Qi Nan and Kawako have also broken through to the Golden Core stage." Tan Xiu stared blankly for a moment. He wasn't surprised that Qi Nan had broken through to the Golden Core stage, but Kawako had also broken through to the Golden Core stage. How could her cultivation speed be so fast? Originally, Tan Xiu accepted Kawako as his subordinate only to let her carry out Japan's plan and strive to control some forces in the country in the future, as well as plunder some resources from the country. But now, it seemed that he couldn't treat her as an outsider anymore. With her cultivation speed, she would become his right-hand man as long as she worked harder in the future. "Oh, contact Qi Nan, Kawako, Tang Guang, and Tang and tell the 4 of them to come here immediately. I'm afraid we'll be at the final moment of the battle. We'll have a better chance of winning if they come here, and the losses of the other sect's disciples will be reduced. What about Jin Shi? Asked Mo all hurriedly. Do you want him to come back? Has Jin Shi broken through to the Golden Core stage yet? Asked Tan Xiu. No news yet. Mo all shook his head. Tan Xiu sighed inwardly. He originally thought that Jin Shi would be one of the first 6 to break through to the Golden Core stage since he had been with him for such a long time. He would occasionally give him some special attention and even rewarded him with a lot of cultivation resources. But he didn't expect that Jin Shi would ultimately let him down. Don't notify him yet. He has a mission now. Mo all nodded without a word and said, I'll contact him right away. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.